excited about this beautiful, beautiful morning. Another day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us be glad in this day, because on a morning like this, after we know for certain, for a fact, that we have a new president-elect, and going into the year 2025, all the way through till 2028, we're going to have a new president. And at the end of the day, Ghana is peaceful. All the indications of a peaceful transition of power are glaring and written on the wall. Ghana has won in the end, and we are very, very excited. So thanks be to God. All the prayers that were given to ensure that this election was peaceful, God has listened to our prayers. Of course, the election wasn't without its skirmishes in certain areas, pockets of violence, here and there. But by and large, generally, all across the country, the elections was amazing. The elections was peaceful. The elections were free. The elections were fair. And at the end of the day, Ghana came on top. We're excited about that particular fact, and we're so grateful to God Almighty for making sure that Ghana emerged on top. Beautiful stuff. And of course, we here at the EIB Network, we're there with you every step of the way, bringing you up to speed, giving you all the updates with regard to what's going on with the election. And finally, yesterday, Madam Jean Mensah, chairperson of the Electoral Commission, declared His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as president-elect, and he's going to be the next president. From the 7th of January, he's going to be the next president of the Republic of Ghana, and Ghanaians have voted emphatically for the man who was president from 2012 to 2016. He was rejected at the polls in the 2016 election. 8 years down the line, he is back, and he's going to the Jubilee House, and he says he thanks God Almighty for preparing a table for him before his enemies and anointing his head with oil. And this is what he said in his speech yesterday when he addressed the nation, addressed teaming supporters, and he says that now the country is going to be reset. Now it remains to be seen exactly how the next 4 years are going to look like under another John Mahama administration. And of course, Ghana made history. History wasn't made only with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, because he made history, as the first president to serve one term in the Fourth Republic, going into opposition and come back again. So the first president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. History has been made to go into opposition for 8 years and then come back. That is a victory story that we have not seen before. A victory story we've not seen before in the history of this country. And also in the history of this country, we have never, ever, ever seen a female vice president. We have never seen that. But for the very first time, John Mahama has made it possible for there to be a female vice president. And a big congratulations to Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. She used to be education minister under John Mahama. John Mahama took her as his running mate for the last election and for this election. And now they have emerged on top, and she's going to be the first ever woman vice president of Ghana. That is beautiful stuff, and we're excited about it. We're excited about, the prospects, for Ghana. And of course, kudos to the NPP's candidate and the current vice president of the country, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for just coming up and conceding defeat early, because it was pretty clear to them at the collation center that they had lost the election. And so tensions were rising. People were getting agitated. The vice president came out and said, look, guys, I have lost the election. I send my congratulations to John Mahama. I have called him. I urge our supporters to remain calm. We're going to support John Mahama for a smooth transition. He's won the parliamentary. He's won the elections. I concede defeat. And after conceding defeat, tensions calmed down a bit. And of course, that was statesmanship shown right there. And of course, yesterday after the declaration, the official declaration of Jean Mensah, then President Akufo-Addo also, issued a call to President John Mahama to congratulate him and told him that as early as Wednesday, that is tomorrow, the transition process is starting. the transition process from the NPP to the NDC is starting. This is the state of affairs, of this country. Of course, condemnable issues happened with regard to excited, exuberant supporters looting, stealing, acts of vandalism here and there. The party, NDC, has condemned these acts and disassociated themselves from these acts. GHOne Mahama also in his speech yesterday said that jubilate in moderation and don't use this time and your exuberance to go and vandalize and get engaged in hooliganism and get engaged in looting and all of that, because it is against the law. The NDC has cautioned against it as a party. The president-elect has condemned it and has cautioned against it as a party. And so the NDC supporters will be minded not to engage in that. It doesn't help anybody, right? It doesn't help anybody. But I'm very excited that the NDC as a party has issued that warning and caution to their supporters not to engage in any acts of vandalism and any acts of looting, right? And the flag bearer, the president-elect, the next president of the country, has also done that. So this is what the country is looking like today. Today, the country is green. The country is green because it is an overwhelming, emphatic victory. Overwhelming, emphatic victory. 56% of the entire polls that were cast. 56%. This is emphatic. This is overwhelming. This is a full endorsement of the candidature and the presidency of GHOne Mahama and the NDC. Ghanaians have spoken. Ghanaians say this is who we want. Ghanaians say this is the man we want to come and steer affairs because we are not happy with the current government. And it's never been so clear and it's never been so emphatic. And so all we can do is wait and see what the next administration holds, how they are going to govern, how they are going to reset the country as they campaigned on. And so we'll be touching on all of these issues this morning here on GH Today. We'll be talking about it. We'll activate the phone lines. I will get some calls from you for you to express your either disappointment or to express your joy at the outcome of the election. And of course, everything in between. My colleagues will be here with me in the studio. We'll go through the newspapers, look at the various headlines. We'll be doing discussions here in the studio with some of our panelists. We'll be placing calls to some of the losers and some of the victors to gauge their mood. We're going to be doing all of that here on the show this morning. This is GH Today. My name is Lantam, Papanko, and I'll not be doing this alone today. I'll be doing it with Na Dede Tete, and reminding you that we are live on GHOne television. We are live on Star 103.5 FM. We are live on Empire 102.7 FM. Of course, we are live on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, and of course on YouTube at Star 103.5 FM, at GHOne TV, across all of these social media platforms. Of course, log on to starfm.com.gh as well and get to see the results for yourself. Click on the EIB Election Hub tab and then take a look at it. And of course, the show is going to be simply amazing today. You're most welcome to the show. And of course, we'll take a look at all the issues, that have come up, right? So we'll do a little circle back, right? We'll take a short break. When we return, we get into the rest of the issues here on the show this morning. And you are most welcome. FM. It's time for us to take a look at our quote of the day for this morning. Let's take a look at our quote of the day. And our quote of the day this morning is a quote by Les Brown, and it says, "Life has no limitations except the ones that you make." Life has no limitations except the limitations that you set for yourself. If you set yourself low limitations and low expectations, that's exactly where you're going to be. But if you raise the bar, if you say the sky is the limit, if you say space is the limit, right, and you set those high expectations, there is no limit to what you can do. Whoever thought former President Mahama could come back, but he didn't limit himself to saying that, oh well, I did my term as a president, I can stay back and just continue to enjoy my role as a former vice president. After all, the state is going to take care of me and all of that. I shouldn't care about governance anymore. But he didn't limit himself to that, right? He said, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to make sure that I try and leave another legacy moving forward. So what are you sitting down doing? No limitations, right? Life has no limitations except the ones that you make. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself, right? Even the sky is not the limit. You have to break through the sky, enter space, right? And go all the way to the edge of the Milky Way galaxy and beyond. Life has no limitations. That's our quote of the day this morning. And from our quote of the day, we'll take a look at our word of the day. Yes, we'll do our word of the day for this morning. Let's take a look at it.
Today's word is EUPHORIA. Euphoria. It's a noun. Euphoria means a feeling of intense happiness and excitement that usually lasts a short time. Let's exemplify it. Due to the upcoming election, the euphoria surrounding Christmas can't be felt. Euphoria.
Yeah, what an appropriate word of the day for this morning, right? There is euphoria. There's euphoria in the camp of the NDC and everybody who voted for GHOne Mahama and everybody who wanted the NDC to come into office. There is euphoria. Yesterday, you could see the euphoria all around because people were excited about the outcome of the election. So that's our word of the day, something for you to add to your vocabulary, of course, and enrich your English speaking. Let's zoom straight into our video and song of the day for this beautiful Tuesday morning.
valid votes, which would have been 38,538. The inclusion of the outstanding constituencies would have given the leading candidate 52.13%, which is still greater than the 50% plus 1 required to be declared a winner. And so even with that scenario, he's clearly the winner of the 2024 election. In the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana with a total percentage of 56.55%. Congratulations, sir. It is finished. Thank you very much.
You're welcome back to the show. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television, and it's a beautiful Tuesday morning, the 10th of December, 2024. And of course, we are live today also on Star 103.5 FM and on Empire 102.7 FM in Takrade. We're doing a converged morning show today. And of course, I'm here with the host of the Morning Star, Nade Tete. Now, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lantam. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm exhausted, but we are here. We're here to finish it up.
Yeah, we are here to finish it up, right? Yeah. So,
how many days was it? We started on the eve.
On the eve,
right? And
we started on Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Monday. Today, Tuesday.
Yeah, today's Tuesday.
Thankfully,
so
everything
things
was
returned to normal today.
Absolutely, and things were crowned yesterday.
Yeah.
With the official declaration.
Yes.
By the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. So, we'll take it from there. At least, had it been that the EC was going according to its timetable, it would have probably done the declaration today.
Yeah,
which
because
is
they had to meet to 2 hours, right? But
Absolutely.
they did it in 48 hours.
Yes.
So we are happy about that. We are happy that things didn't prolong, you know. But even up to now, there are still 9 outstanding constituencies.
Yes.
And we don't have declarations from those constituencies, right?
And yes, so one of them is the Damongo constituency. Meanwhile, yesterday in the Ghanaian Times, for instance, and many other portals, it indicated that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources
had lost. And it means that Adam Mutawakilo was coming back.
Absolutely.
So what is happening? What's the hold-up?
But you understand that a constituency like Ukaikwe Central, there was some confusion about collation. So they were at the regional collation center yesterday, the Greater Accra Regional Collation Center yesterday, where scores of supporters massed up. They said that there were attempts to manipulate the results. Eventually, Baba Sadiq was declared the winner. I have seen
Bawumia was said to have won initially, but before I realized,
I think that during the election, someone wrote that, well, you could win in the evening, by morning you would have lost. So I read, you have to be very vigilant.
And I think there was a lot of vigilance this time around, especially on the part of the NDC because of the experience with the 2020 elections, right?
Yes.
And with the 2020 elections, the election petition and all of that, a lot of lessons were learned. And so they were very ready and they were poised to make sure that nothing untoward happens. Even though they were told that elections are won at the polling station, they know that some funny business could happen at the collation center, because they experienced it in the last election. And so with this election, they had decided that they are going to leave.
They are going to open their eyes.
Yes. And even this time around, they are still saying that they are going to, for the 9 remaining, they are going to fight for every single seat. And what is legitimately theirs, they are not going to relinquish it or allow anything untoward to happen. Because we had all of this funny business of, getting to the collation center and different pink sheets arriving. Funny pink sheets which were not there from the polling stations arriving from places that we do not know. Attempts to swap pink sheets, and all of these things. And so their eyes are open and very vigilant to make sure that we have all our pink sheets. They say they have all their pink sheets. And so they are going to make sure that the figures that they have at their pink sheets from the polling stations where both party agents were, nothing is going to compromise that. And they'll deal with all of
Patrick Bawumia has served notice that he will be going to court in relation to it. I think he put up a post on Facebook yesterday where he said that he is going to contest the results, which he described as questionable. So he'll be going to court. We should be expecting a lot more of those. But President Akufo-Addo also congratulated John Dramani Mahama yesterday.
Yes, he did.
And John Mahama mentioned it in his victory address at his cantonment office. Also, this morning, I saw a post on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's Facebook handle where he was asking the president-elect to call the supporters of the NDC to order. I didn't read the entire thing, but I recall also that in the address yesterday, John Mahama did call on the supporters of the NDC who are rampaging to, cease what they were doing and for there to be calm in the country. I'm hoping that they will heed to it, because this practice of, supporters vandalizing property because your party has won is very archaic it's very barbaric. I don't even know why it's still happening. So we are hoping that all of you listening and watching us now, you will cease acting in that manner. Well,
we are seeing, I'm getting information now with regard to the Damango seat that the current Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Abu Jinapo, has been declared as the winner of the parliamentary election.
By the...
Yeah, this is what I'm seeing. It says Samuel Abu Jinapo, the incumbent MP for Damango, is now or retains his parliamentary seat
is it
for,
on the,
for Damango.
Okay, it's on a news portal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he successfully retained his seat amidst, a lot of tension and a lot of chaos. Earlier there was confusion. There was a confusion that erupted, over the outcome of the election.
Yes.
And all the candidates were demanding that, they had won, and so there should be a recount, and all of that. But
let me see
with regard to the official EC pink sheets, that I'm seeing here, the Form 1D Parliamentary Elections Results Summary Sheet, it says that Jinapo Samuel Abdullahi, 16,222. Adam Mutawakilu, 14,425. And Saka Baba Moses, 66. And so the total votes were 30,713. Total rejected ballots 356. And total votes cast 31,069. So Mohammed Isa Jinapo Abdullahi, that's the candidates agents there who have signed it. So this is the pink sheets that I'm seeing online, which indicates that Abu Jinapo has won the Damango seat, or retained the Damango seat. So that's information that is coming in.
So it was a margin of about 2,000, right?
Margin of about 2,000.
Because he polled 16,000, and then his main opponent, per the results, polled 14,000 and a little over. Well, it's good that we have some resolution to at least one of the outstanding constituencies that the EC said it had not added to the tally. But even if they were added, it would not do anything so much to the one who came in second in the person of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And yesterday, John Mahama did indicate that in that conversation with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the now outgoing President of the Republic, they've agreed that they will begin transition processes tomorrow, which is December 11.
December 11, exactly.
Yes.
Tomorrow, transition is going to begin, and it'll be interesting to see, how the transition process shapes up, because that's when we're going to begin to get a sense of the kind of appointments that, John Dramani Mahama probably will make moving forward from the year 2025 all the way through till 2028 or 2029, when he will exit office, right?
Yes.
We know he's already told us that he's going to appoint not more than 60 ministers, right? So that means 60 ministers and deputy ministers. So he's going to run a lean government, right? And it'll be interesting to see who is going where and who is going to be in charge, of what. And that's a promise that he definitely, cannot go back on. But with this entire process, right, it all began when some 14 or 15 hours after voting, the Vice President of the Republic, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, through information that his party had from their own party coalition, indicated that he had lost the election. And so he came out and conceded defeat. Let's go back and watch that concession speech that was given by Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which started it all.
And gentlemen of the media, following yesterday's presidential and parliamentary elections, Ghanaians at home and abroad have been sitting on tenterhooks awaiting the outcome of the election. Let me say that the data from our own internal collation of the election results indicate that former President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has won the presidential election decisively. The NDC has also won the parliamentary election, even though we await final collation for a number of seats. However, I believe ultimately that these will not change the overall outcome. I have just called His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to congratulate him as President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. I said during the signing of the Peace Pact that I was sure of two things. Ghana will win and peace will reign. The people of Ghana have spoken. The people have voted for change at this time, and we respect that decision with all humility. I thank God Almighty for how far He has brought me, and I submit to His will. I am making this concession speech before the official announcement by the Electoral Commission to avoid further tension and preserve the peace of our country. It is important that the world investor community continues to believe in the peaceful and democratic character of Ghana. These are our most important assets. Ghana is more important than our individual political ambitions, and we must always put Ghana first. While this was not our desired outcome, I say this is part of the democratic process. We put our best foot forward in the contest, explaining our policies and programs. However, it is sometimes the case that the voter would have other ideas. I am very proud of the efforts of our campaign team, and I thank them very much. I assure His Excellency John Dramani Mahama of my full support in the transition process. As committed Democrats, we pledge to ensure that we have a very smooth transition so that the business of government will continue seamlessly. The MPP would offer the needed support to the new government in a very responsible way. Ladies and gentlemen, we have conceded defeat like any consummate Democrat would do, but we have not abandoned the fight to transform Ghana and expand opportunities to all sections of our society. We will not be a disruptive opposition, even though we would subject government actions and policies to strict scrutiny in the interest of our beloved nation. Our MPs, I am convinced, will do a thorough job to advance our democracy and ensure that the citizenry gets the best out of the democratic dispensation. To the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party, I know the feeling hurts, given that this is not the result you worked for. I know you would feel there is darkness ahead. That is natural, especially when in all sincerity you gave the assignment your all. But I assure you that we will regroup and come back even stronger. We will take stock of events and pick lessons to guide us going forward. In the interim, I urge you all to look into the future with optimism and hope. We may have lost the battle, but not the war. Let me also use this occasion to congratulate all MPs elect, with special emphasis on those from the MPP side. I would like to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, for his support and guidance over the years. I extend sincere thanks to the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, for her support and wise counsel throughout my tenure as Vice President and during the 2024 electioneering campaign. I would like to thank my wife, Haja Samira Bawumia, who has gone over and above the call of duty in her support for me. My thanks also go to my children, my brothers and sisters, and the entire Bawumia family for their support. I also thank my running mate, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, and his wife Alma for their strong support in this campaign. I am eternally grateful to our revered traditional rulers, religious leaders, and the generality of Ghanaians for their support. I thank former President Kufuor, the Council of Elders, executives, and the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party for their solid support. To all Ghanaians who voted for me and the MPP to implement our proposed bold solutions, I thank you for the confidence you reposed in us. To all Ghanaians who didn't vote for me and the MPP in this particular election, I thank you for considering my proposals, even though you exercised your right to choose by settling on the eventual winner. Let me also thank the Electoral Commission for overseeing yet another transparent and fair election in Ghana. I also thank the security services for their role in maintaining the peace. My thanks also goes to the media for their excellent reportage. Ghana has won. Thank you very much, and may God bless you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic, flag bearer of the NPP, outgoing Vice President, and this is when he was giving his concession speech. Right?
Yes, and he has been commended by many, including the President-elect, but for being a statesman, in opting to give this concession speech at the time he did. At that time, the Electoral Commission had not given us any official results. He was basing it off the party's internal coalition. And at that time, the NDC too had also addressed the press and talking about how they had won a number of seats and all that. And so many believe that the timing of his concession effectively doused the level of tension we had in the country. And I was saying that for some agents who were holding back on signing on to the pink sheets across the country, that was delaying the transmission. It was one of the things that perhaps let them lose their or soften their stance. Because sometimes when the defeat is embarrassing, you want to find a way around it to more of lessen the pain.
Lessen the pain. Just accept it. Just accept it, right? Accept reality.
So sometimes you find that there are people who are not directly the contestants, but they think that they need to protect the contender. So they would do things that a contender ordinarily would not support. So he coming out at that time was very good.
Yes, it was very good. Let's stay on this a while longer. We're joined on the phone line by Dr. Richard Amoako Baah. Dr. Richard Amoako Baah is a political scientist, a political analyst. Doc, good morning. Welcome to GH Today.
Good morning, Lantam. How are you?
We're doing well, Doc. How are you doing today, and how are you feeling this morning?
Doing very good.
What is your immediate reaction to all that has unfolded right up till yesterday when the president-elect gave his victory speech. What has been your reaction to everything that has happened, from the election results, the parliamentary results, to the concession speech of Dr. Bawumia, to the declaration of GHOne Mensah, and of course to yesterday, President-elect John Mahama's speech?
Well, nothing was surprising. We knew NDC was going to win big, except that MPP was able to halfway convince people by their own lies that they have done well, better than Nkrumah, all of that. They began to believe their own lies. And I have to be honest, they did well in fooling people. Many people almost believed. That's why even some of those who still voted for them. But for me, there was no surprise there at all. I knew Mahama was going to be the next president.
At what point did you know, before the elections, that Mahama was going to be the next president? At what point?
For long, this is not NDC victory. This is MPP defeat. If you understand the difference. MPP defeat means that the people are angry at MPP. Ashanti region, that's what happened. It didn't vote. This is what they get most of their vote for. So if people here don't vote, you are dead. And that's what happened.
But in your estimation... yes, Doc.
Yes, go ahead.
I was asking, in your estimation, you're talking about people in Ashanti region not going out to go and vote, right? But
yes,
we know that there were efforts that were made to make sure that support in the Ashanti region was energized and was whipped up, with Dr. Bawumia spending a lot of time in the region, with the vice presidential candidates coming from the region, among other things. So why, in your estimation, didn't the Ashanti region show up for the party that they love so much?
Well, you see, this is vindication of the voters. The politicians think the voters don't have any sense. So they can do anything and come back and lie about it. We have done very well, we have done this. Then don't they have eyes? Don't see anything. You don't see all the TV and all the things that went wrong. They saw it earlier. And so as we came forward, what was needed was patching up, coming and beg them. We didn't do this right, but we are doing this now, this and that. They didn't do that. They covered it up, behave as if what happened in the past did not happen at all. But people are not that stupid. They knew. So the die was cast already when they came back and made a lot of noise last minute. It won't do anything. They had already decided.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And so all that effort didn't make any difference at all. If anything, it's solidify some of them to be against them. Because MPP really behave as if the officials of MPP, the party officials, behave as if the party belongs to them. And they do what they want, not what the supporters want. See, this is what they did. And so they did everything in the book that way. That became, at some point, Nanado party. You see, whatever he wanted is what they did. They followed him into the ditch. This is what happened. Right? A party that can go for constitutional amendment. I'm talking about party constitution. The same day, vote for the amendment. The same day, amend it, and then implement it. Take effect the same day. Have you heard such a thing before? Yes, this is what they did. So there was no rules in the party anymore. They did whatever they wanted.
Now, Doc.
So people took notice. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you spoke about the president. There are those who have said that the outcome of this election is a verdict of President Akufo-Addo's leadership, or a referendum on his governance. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. Because if he is the president, and if this is his party, you have the responsibility of guiding him not to go too wrong. And you didn't. You joined him. Whatever he said, you amplified it and made it worse. And so you are equally responsible. That's what happened. That's what the voters told us. We are responsible. I'm not part of it because I said it before. Bawumia is responsible, bigger than anybody else. It's the president's fault. Bawumia is number 2. Because the whole thing came to a head when they decided that Bawumia should be the next person. You don't decide. It's not the party officials who decide who should be next. No. It's the electorate. The whole party must come to an agreement that, okay, we're going to do. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. This is people contest. So lead them to contest. Whoever won, that's it. But no, this time no. Even this, they wanted to force it on the people. That Bawumia should be the next person. Everybody thought Alan should be the next person. But of course.
If you say Bawumia was forced, but Doc, if you say Bawumia was forced on the people, the delegates did speak, and it was an overwhelming endorsement of the candidature of Dr. Bawumia, who emerged on top with, more than 60% of the vote from delegates.
Who are the delegates? How do they vote? Bring their money. That's what they vote. Don't you know that? What is done in this does not involve money.
But
the president, the sitting president, is fully strict. If you don't vote, you may be fired. What do? You don't be fired. No. You don't vote. You do what he wants. And this is what happens. This is what makes people so mad. You see. People did not want Bawumia to be on the team. The president appealed to the elders. They agreed, okay, let him go. Now you have come back in this short order to the leader of the party you are not a part of. It is not acceptable. So many people were angry, including myself. It shows sincerity, ingratitude. You understand? You can't see people there, seniors of the party. Let them go. You are a younger man. If they go, it doesn't work. Then it's your turn. Everybody will support you. I called him and I told him, I went to his house. I told him, the thing is coming. Let them go. Let the seniors go. If they don't win, I'm praise of the party. That's what I told him. If they don't win, you go around the country. Don't even contest. Try to unite the party. Talk to them. Energize them. And let the seniors go. If they don't win, you are the only one left. Crown prince.
Doc, do you think that, on that note, do you think that had it been a different candidate, the party would have performed better?
You mean the vice president, have he been a different candidate? I think so, yes. I think so. No doubt at all. Because the way he acted is as if whatever they are doing is for his interest, he has no problem. No matter what, whether it's good or bad, he will take it. That's not good. This is how people used to say, you are not your own man. Sometimes even if they are rooting for you, and you know what they are doing is not in the interest of the unity of the party, you stand up and say, no, don't do it that way. But he never says anything. Goes along with them, and this is where we are now. Complete crash.
But,
the people were angry.
Yes, in all of this, Dr. Baah, looking at Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he was endorsed by John Agyekum Kufuor, the former president, stepped in, spoke to people, told people the reason why they should believe in Bawumia and why he himself believes in Bawumia. And we all know the stature of President Kufuor within the NPP and how revered he is. So how come that also didn't even play or make any difference?
You say we all know this stature. What is it? What? When people know the truth, no matter what stature is, they know the truth. You understand? And they are still in the party, they follow the party. So your stature doesn't lie to them. It does not matter. You ask me, the things they've done, all these battles, you sat there, and you're calling stature. He didn't say anything. But we needed him to speak up. Now everybody is looking up to him to speak up. Oh, this is not good. He never said a word. Now the thing is messed up. You're going for an election. This is how you're going to tell us about your stature. Nobody will listen to you. That is the truth. That is what happened to before. It was disingenuous. You understand? The party is not his. If he can't speak the truth, then be quiet and let the people do it. It is not a time. It is high time Ghanaians leave this idea of a dynasty or something like that. See, when he speaks, what happened? What was it? Well, all the malfeasance Nanado was involved in, the president never said one word. Where is your statement? Where is your truth? This is what we need. The president guiding the next person to stay in the lane and do the right thing. They took people's money, retirees. What did he say? What did he say? So don't talk about stature, please.
All right, now
we are talking about character.
Very well.
Right.
All right, Doc. But moving on. We saw the vice president come out early and give a concession speech. He's been commended for being a statesman and conceding early. What do you make of that?
That one, I applaud him. But I can assure you, most likely, he didn't come to do it by himself. International community was watching us. I cannot name specifically this one called and this one called it. But they're sure they did. They put pressure on him to concede defeat because you see the way the thing is going, you're going to lose anyway. To concede defeat now and forestall any possibility of violence. They prevailed upon him. This happens all the time in critical elections like this, and they agreed. It turns out yesterday, since our unofficial things I had, the president didn't know about it before he made his speech. And this is how it works. Because if he had told the president totally, he would not have agreed. It's like, no. Yes, Bawumia can concede defeat. That's not Bawumia who congratulates, who invite the other incoming president in. We already have a president. Bawumia is not a president, he's vice president. It's not a vice president who concede defeat. Have you ever heard that before? No, it's a candidate. And so it confirmed that most likely the president didn't know about it. It's almost like somebody taking the round off of the president. Blindsided. Once he's conceded, what can you do? Can you change any narrative? No. He's the one who ran. He said he's lost. So you're going to say he didn't lose? No. So that's done. And once he does that, that's the end of the deal. And they forestall any possibility of violence. That one, he did well. It means he made that decision himself.
Right. And Doc, on the issue of Parliament and the number of seats that the NDC has won in Parliament, they have an overwhelming majority. I mean, in front of me, the number of seats that I can confirm now officially are 171. But we're told that it's within the region of about 185 parliamentary seats, including about 10 from the Ashanti region, and some real shockers, some big wigs and stalwarts losing, their parliamentary seats to new NDC candidates. What do you make of that situation?
All of that is payback time. The voters will let you know that they are in charge, not you. They are the ones who voted for you. You see, and if you've done what you wanted, then vote for yourself. That's what has happened. Now you are asking them to go and vote. Besides that, having said that, I have to say categorically, there was a lot of cheating going on, attempts to cheat. I'm not trying to diminish NDC's victory. They would have won it regardless. But we should not assume that these figures are all legitimate figures. We shouldn't. They have won, yes. I cannot pinpoint any candidate and say this one didn't win or this one didn't. But for sure, there was a lot of cheating in most countries. The instances of attempted cheating alone would have cancelled the whole thing. But we are not able to rerun elections. It's very expensive. And the way we set it up, it's tedious. You can't do it. And so we keep going, even though we say the election is free, fair, and credible. Ours was not. Okay. Somebody killed someone. Somebody took the ballot away. Somebody cheated. He officials themselves cheating. Somebody raped Mahama's picture up so you can't vote for him. All sorts of things. And we say it's free, fair, and credible. No, it wasn't credible. It wasn't. But this is what we do. Everything we do is the soft standard. You understand? Look, I tell you, Romania. Somebody campaigned for a party, and that came on TikTok. That TikTok campaign alone disqualified them. The EC came out and said, they've cancelled the result. We'll do it again. But ours, can we do it again like that? No. It's very difficult. And so we have to consider changing the way we vote, how we set things up, because it is very difficult to rerun. We don't want to talk about it. Don't talk about rerun, or we can't rerun. This is how it is. This is how I suggested to vote by regions, in turns. You see, this weekend, this one, and the three regions are voting. Make sure they are apart. So we can't go over here and misbehave and run over here. We can easily do it. But we keep going full speed ahead as if we have not seen anything in our design. It is not working. It is not working. So what I've told you right now, you take time and go and look at the malfeasance that went on, the attempted rigging that went on, the printing of this. Hey, and you are saying free and fair and incredible. How can it be? We didn't hear any of that. People fighting. Soldiers will not come. Some came. Police doing this. Hey, no, it is not good. And so, yes, we have finished the election. Okay, Mahama has won. It doesn't matter to me because he was going to win anyway. He was. Because MPP was so bad. It was take time for MPP punish the party that did all this wrong, and the alternative is Mahama. And so you don't have a choice. A lot of people ask me, this is how we've set it up. So if this one doesn't go, here's the alternative. What would you do? And so that one is coming. That please, that knows you move ourselves that it was free, fair, and credible. It wasn't. It wasn't free, fair, and credible. It wasn't. All the printing stories, you never heard any of it. The ballot stuffing. Hey, okay. If you want to think like that, let's think.
Now, Doc, for the NPP, this will be like a very major defeat they have suffered at the polls. It's early days yet, but what do you expect the party to do after this unprecedented defeat?
Oh, I expect the party to get it. But I said before, this is not a party. The party is not like that. Honesty, integrity, you see, is what guides this party. Not young boys looking for money. The rascals misbehaving all the time, telling lies. Now they were believing their own lies. This is not a party. Professor Papanko said it. He said this is not a party I joined. The same here. I have said it before. And this party will collapse because of how they are behaving. Lies. Lies upon lies. And look what has happened. This is the party that came 8 years and collapsed the whole country. How much money do we owe? And what do we have to show for it? What were the parliament? What were they doing? How they allow the president to keep going like that? They are there not to take bribes from the president. They are there to watch over him so that they don't overspend or do things that are not acceptable. Did they do their job? They betrayed us. They were there for themselves. But please, okay. Okay, they crack around and say, take money and they do what the president wants. So, what is this? Why don't we talk about that as if it never happened? And I will tell you, we don't talk about it, it will happen again. And I have said it. I will not be a party to it. This party, MPP party, this is not a party I joined. So many people have said that. And if they keep saying that, this is not party you join, then leave it. I'll tell them, leave it and join a new one over there. That's what I'll tell them.
You said you're leaving the party? You're leaving the party?
Why not? If your party becomes completely corrupt, what do you do? And the officials, you cannot throw them out because they will tell you they are the officials. So we have to keep them. How is it going to change? There is no way of keeping it.
Wouldn't you want to be part of the process? Wouldn't you want to be part of a process to rebuild it rather than leaving it?
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
The of political parties is the elected officials guide the party. You cannot go and throw the elected official out. I want that. He voted, he was elected. So what can you do? So it becomes almost an impossibility. Why don't you have a new party? A new party. Why? Let the people know the true MPP. Somebody was, I think it was some NDC candidate who was saying that the credible people in MPP have all left. You asking, where is Dr. Baah? Where is this one? Where is this one? Where is this one? What are they talking about? You think people don't see anything? So when you come back and say, okay, we all left because they wouldn't listen to anything, it was corrupt. So now, we are forming a new party. Those who are upset, join it. They won't join it. What is in the name, MPP? What is the name? Somebody came up with it.
So you intend to form a new party?
Yes, I will say categorically, yes, I cannot be in this one. Either I form a new party or quit off together. That's it. Because this one cannot go forward. No. So let me tell you something. If you didn't hear it, or if you refuse to say it, it is the former Chief Justice, and New Yabua, who said Rafael Market was balanced stuff. Not so. Didn't you hear it? You didn't hear it? President Majority Leader was involved in ballot stuffing. Would you say it's not credible when it came from such a person? And now nobody talks about it. That security agencies should investigate. But because it's our government, nobody will do anything. This is a very, very, very important allegation level against him. Now and you cannot say he's lying. What is his motivation?
Well, yesterday, GHOne Mahama in his address did say that the transition process will begin tomorrow. At least now that we are done with the elections, good timing?
Well, he has to do what he has to do because he has a short time to do things. And so it's good that he doesn't have a choice because you have to get going. And so let people do that whilst others are looking at other things. But what he should not forget, let not the process blind him from looking at important things and all the bad things that have happened at our administration. 8 years have around this country. Somebody said it will take 100 years. How did it come back? I say no. So the new one will take only 4. That's what I think. Let the people know who you are, what you've done, what has happened. You have not forgotten it. This is why they voted against MPP. So why would they forget? They will not forget. They will be happy. There was a time when the MPP, some of the officials called me, look, can you get Alan to come back? I said, you want him back? Yes. Okay, I'll talk to him. I talked to him. Yes. You see, but he was too hurt. The pain was too much for him that they have insulted him, they have lied about him, they have degraded him. Also, I said, please, if you go back, this is how it's going to be. MPP together again. That's the headline. Family together again. That means all those who left will come back. And can say for MPP and you. But the pain was too much, so he couldn't do it. And that's how it is.
Right, and moving
otherwise,
forward.
they would have won.
Right.
Yes.
And moving forward with this victory for GHOne Mahama, in terms of governance, in terms of where the country is now and where the country needs to go, they say they want to reset the country. He's now going to appoint ministers and all of that. What would be your advice to him? How would you expect him to govern moving forward?
Well, he should first of all realize it's not business as usual. The country is there, all the problems are there, actually multiplied. The debt is through the roof. And now we have more money. Cocoa is going down. Every indicator is going down. So be very careful not to promise, over-promise, we'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll do it. No. Look at the situation first before you decide how you're going to proceed. Do it gradually. You'll be okay.
Well, Dr. Baah.
I mean, I don't think, yes.
Yes.
I was saying, Ghanaians don't know the situation we are in. We don't know the situation we are in. The average Ghanaian doesn't. It is very bad. Very, very bad. And so people are coming to NDC to get a job, to do this, that. You are in for a shock. Because there are a lot of things that they even have to do on the drawing board that they couldn't do. Because there is no money. There is absolutely no money. Of course, government cannot be completely broke because they get taxes all day. But the tax money is not enough to do anything. It will not even be enough to run the government from day to day. You understand? Let alone involve yourself into projects and things like that. What are you going to do? So don't promise new things overly. There are some things poor people should not be left destitute. They should be given hope. And so if you do a little bit of that, it's okay. But please, be careful. Otherwise, you shoot yourself in the foot.
Very well, Dr. Baah. We're grateful that you've spoken to us this morning here on GH Today.
Thank you, Lantam.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Richard Amoako Baah is a political scientist, political analyst, speaking to us this morning here on GH Today. He's been reacting to the aftermath of the election. And if you're just tuning in, this is GH Today here on GHOne Television. We're streaming live on Facebook at GHOne TV, on YouTube at GHOne TV, on X at GHOne TV. Of course, this is also Star 103.5 FM, and we're streaming across all social media platforms at Star 103.5 FM, on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube as well. We are live on Empire 102.7 FM as well, of course. Now, before we spoke to Dr. Richard Amoako Baah, we played you the concession speech of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. After that, just yesterday, Jean Mensah came and declared the results of the presidential election. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, now to the results of the 2024 presidential election. And the results will be announced based on the positions of the presidential candidates on the ballot. Mahama Bawumia of the NPP obtained 4,657,304, being 41.61%. Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the GCPP obtained 16,673, being 0.15%. Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement obtained 16,461, being 0.15%. Kofi Apalu of the LPG obtained 5,219, being 0.09%. Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party obtained 4,413, being 0.04%. Nana Akosua Frimpong of the CPP obtained 23,397, being 0.21%. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6 million. Let me take that again. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397. And I'd like to repeat that. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397, being 56.55%. Mr. Hassan Ayariga of the APC obtained 17,461, being 0.16%. Mr. Kofi Kranting, independent candidate, obtained 3,320, being 0.03%. Mr. George Tumberima Edu, independent candidate, obtained 3,091, being 0.02%. Nana Kwame Biediaku, independent candidate, obtained 84,478, being 0.05%. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremanting, independent candidate, obtained 31,202, being 0.28%. The total valid votes cast add up to 11,191,422. Total rejected votes 239,109. Total votes cast 11,430,531. It's important to mention that the total registered voters add up to 18,774,159. And the percentage voter turnout based on the 267 constituencies stands at 60.9%. 60.9% based on the 267 constituencies. And as I mentioned, this does not include the 9 constituencies whose results we are yet to receive.
So that's GHOne Mensah, chairperson of the Electoral Commission and returning officer for the presidential election, announcing the results yesterday, and of course declaring John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election. And he got up to 56%. There are 9 outstanding constituencies according to GHOne Mensah, but even if all of those constituency results were added to Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's results, it will not be enough to push him over or to even call for a runoff. And so this is the verdict that Ghanaians have placed. Former President John Dramani Mahama, in the aftermath of all of this, also gave his victory speech. He talked about transition. He talked about President Akufo-Addo calling him to congratulate him and indicate that from tomorrow they are going to do a transition. Let's take a look at former President John Mahama during his delivery of his victory speech yesterday.
I also just received a call from His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He graciously extended his congratulations to me, and we had the opportunity to discuss matters related to the joint transitional team. We agreed on an early inauguration of the joint transitional team as early as Wednesday, the 11th of December. I conveyed my sincerest regards to him and expressed my readiness for us to work together to ensure a smooth transition in the best interest of the Ghanaian people. The results of this election, as declared today by the Electoral Commissioner, show that the National Democratic Congress, with me, John Dramani Mahama, as leader, has just chalked one of the most emphatic victories in the electoral history of the Fourth Republic. We have therefore been bestowed with a very outstanding mandate by the good people of Ghana. I'm deeply honored and humbled to receive such an overwhelming endorsement from the Ghanaian people. And I wish to thank all who made this possible by going out to vote for me. I thank all Ghanaians, both at home and abroad, for your continued belief in our democracy, despite the severe crisis our nation is going through. I also congratulate our parliamentary candidates who have also swept the electoral landscape with a very resounding victory. I have a legion of thanks to give for this emphatic electoral success. And let me begin again by thanking the Almighty God, the creator of heaven and earth, for protecting and preserving us through this whole campaign period. And to paraphrase the psalmist, I also give thanks to God for preparing a table before me with this Bible verse. I also give thanks to God for preparing a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And for anointing my head with oil. Making my cup run over. I next have to give my thanks to my wife Lordina, and my family, my children, my siblings, and all my extended family for standing by me through all these difficult times when victory and success appeared elusive and out of sight. On these gloomy occasions, you have all come through and offered me the encouragement to keep soldiering on. I'd like to thank the Vice President-elect, Professor Jane Nana Okokwajiman, for being an exemplary and inspirational running mate. Nana, your decency, your humility, and your sense of responsibility added so much to this campaign. The eyes of every young girl and woman, not only in Ghana, but in nations across this continent and the world, are going to be on you from today. And as you said, you have not only opened the door, but you're going to keep the door open for many other women. Your name has become synonymous with breaking boundaries. And like I said, you have opened the door of opportunity for many of our female citizens. Because of you, the people of Ghana can today celebrate the fact that we have made history by electing our first woman as Vice President. Also thank my very loyal and dedicated staff who have been with me over the last 8 years in opposition. sacrifice and hard work they have put into this endeavor. To my campaign team members, to our party agents, and the countless volunteers who spent uncountable hours day and night working to secure this victory, I cannot thank you enough. To our Council of Elders, the gallant leadership of the National Democratic Congress, led by Chairman Johnson Asiedu Ketia, our able General Secretary, P.D. Fiavikwete, and our general membership, I'm deeply grateful for your dedication and commitment to this cause and your willingness to give everything to ensure success in this election. To all the religious leaders who prayed for me, and there are too many to mention, at the appropriate time I acknowledge them individually. To all the religious leaders who prayed for me, to all the prophets who prophesied my victory, to all the civil society organizations and professional groups we consulted in building our message, to all our traditional leaders who warmly received me in your palaces during the campaign, to all our security personnel across the country, and to the media, to you all I say a big thank you. To Mrs. Jean Mensa and her staff of the Electoral Commission, the IGP and his Election Security Task Force, our international observers, and all who have contributed to a very successful election, I convey to you the warmest wishes of a grateful nation. For all its historic undertones, this mandate represents many things for all political actors and those who seek to lead our nation. It shows that the Ghanaian people have little tolerance for bad governance, particularly of the sort witnessed in the last 8 years, and that they are willing to take decisive action at critical moments when it matters most. These 8 years have witnessed some of the darkest periods of our governance. The crisis our beloved country has been through these last several years have left a scar on our national psyche, which may take some time to erase. This mandate also serves as a constant reminder of what fate awaits us if we fail to meet the aspirations of our people and govern with arrogance. My brothers and sisters, there is much to do to salvage our country and reset it. It would have to start with a reset of the relationship between citizens and elected officials. We must never forget that the people of Ghana have chosen us to represent their wishes and their best interest. It is the reason we would be initiating important governance reforms and sometimes initiate severe measures in the next 4 years to reset our nation and bring it back on track as the Black Star of Africa. The journey is not going to be easy, my brothers and sisters, because the outgoing government has plunged our dear nation into an abyss. However, we are determined to work together with you to build the Ghana we want. And I am certain that we shall win the battle. We intend to work together to restore the shattered confidence in our politics and governance system. This election and its outcome represents an opportunity for a new beginning as we can begin to write a new chapter of our collective story. We need to consciously set the tone for the new direction in which we'll be traveling. My brothers and sisters, I want those words, my brothers and sisters, to be a reminder to all of you, a reminder to me, and to every individual who has just been elected or re-elected, that no matter what office you hold, no matter what your political affiliation is or has been in the past, the one thing we share in common is the nation Ghana. And it is that we want a much better Ghana. We want a Ghana that works for everybody and not just a few people. We want a Ghana that considers the well-being of all her citizens and affords them each the ability to live a life of dignity, a life of limitless opportunity. My brothers and sisters, from the Kaya Yo to the managing director, to the market women, the bankers, the teachers, security personnel, nurses, doctors.
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. On 7th January, he's going to be sworn in as President of the Republic of Ghana for a second non-consecutive 4-year term, with the first ever female Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. He's given his victory speech and he says we are going to reset the country. Let me now introduce Mr. Kwame Jantua, who has joined me and Nadede here in the studio. Mr. Kwame Jantua is a member of the CPP and he's a political watcher, a political analyst, a political actor, a governance analyst, a private legal practitioner. He has a huge portfolio and he's a regular here on the show, even though we haven't seen him this entire elections, but we are happy to have him here this morning. Mr. Jantua, good morning.
Good morning. A day. Now, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Well, Dr. Kwame Asante is also joining us. He's joining us via Zoom. Dr. Asante, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning to Mr. Jantua and Nadede. I guess it's Nadede.
Yes,
it's Nadede.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kwame Asante.
This is my first time of coming face to face with Mr. Jantua.
Okay.
My pleasure to meet him. I like him so much.
Thank you. I'm an ordinary man, though.
You speak truth to power, right?
I speak my mind.
But Mr. Jantua, we've not heard from you here on GHOne television, during the elections and even in the aftermath of the election. So let's begin with you on this and what your initial comments will be as we're zooming into the discussions. There are quite a number of issues that we will get into here on the show. Quite a lot to unpack.
I will sum it and good morning to our viewers. I'll sum it like this. Akufo-Addo's woes became Bawumia's crisis, with Oforiatta being the nemesis.
Really?
Yes. Akufo-Addo's woes became Bawumia's crisis, with Oforiatta being his nemesis. Because, the moment Bawumia came and said, I'm a driver's mate, I knew it was going to be difficult, because you cannot be part of a team and try and put yourself out of the team. Lantam, over the last 8 years, on this particular platform, we've talked about and we've traced how things started. Huge promises by the Akufo-Addo government, moving into loans, moving into warnings. Please watch it. IMF, World Bank warning Ghana, then being hit by COVID, being hit by having to go to the IMF, and the delay it took, and the shenanigans that went with it in going to the IMF at the right time, and the kind of suave and arrogance that was exhibited by those in power. And it goes to show that in politics, you've got to listen to the people, because the people also govern. What was President Akufo-Addo's number in terms of votes? Nearly a million, eh?
Yeah, nearly a million votes difference. Yes. Yeah, that was in 2016.
2016.
Yes.
Now it's over a million.
In 2020, it was cut to half.
Yeah.
That was where he should have taken advice and asked himself the question, what went wrong? What happened? How come? I couldn't even bring it down to even just 200,000, where I would have still maintained my 800, but cut it down to half. That should have sounded the bell, but it didn't seem to have sounded the bell in the ears of the president. And the arrogance of things, telling chiefs to sit down, telling chiefs to get up, all sorts of things that really and truly show that he couldn't be bothered about the people. And this Ghanaian thing that we say, it has come to work. They tell you, you don't do anything about it. Because I didn't see how in 2024 they were still talking about free SHS. You had used it to win an election. You should have moved into the daily bread of people. Lantam, do you remember? On this set, I kept saying, this election, your bottom not to aba. Did I not say it?
You said it several times. Sure, assisted them not to aba.
Yes, said it several times. Because the people were suffering. But the bigoted things of the NPP stopped them from looking at how the people were suffering. And the verdict is your face. How can an incompetent Mahama, how can he beat an economic guru and a doctor who has got a degree in digitalization? How possible? Incompetent Mahama. And they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I remember also saying at the time when the crisis had really hit, I remember saying that President Akufo-Addo at the time, some of us said, call a national discussion. Let's have a national dialogue on this. Bring everybody on board. Stakeholders, bring them on board. Let's see how we solve the problems of this country together. But no. They wanted it to be MPP, Yabaya Solvo. You see, this particular situation that we find ourselves in, it's like buying granite from the streets and getting the granite woman to take the skin off. Then you suck in your hand and you put it in your mouth, only to realize there's a rotten one in there. It spoils the entire taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Unfortunately. And it's turning out to be that President Akufo-Addo, considering the defeat and the number of seats the NDC has won in parliament, it goes to show that President Akufo-Addo will be seen as the worst president we ever had.
The worst president we ever had.
When you look at the defeat, look, right now, NDC don't need to take bill to president for president to look at and sign, and if he doesn't want it, they already have 2/3 majority in parliament. They can pass bills. Has it happened before? No. Look at the map. Look at the map. The blue bits of the map are where? Ashanti, Eastern,
and Northeast.
And Northeast. The rest is what? Green. That should tell you something. How many constituencies did NDC win in Ashanti?
The last time they addressed the press, they said from what they have, it was 8. But then there are some 3 others or 4 others that were in contention, but they are confident that they are going to get those seats.
President Akufo-Addo, if for nothing at all, should apologize to the people of Ghana.
Why?
The defeat. What does the defeat tell you? The defeat tells you that the defeat tells you and apologize to the MPP.
Yesterday, when we spoke to Dr. Kwame Asante, he rated the second term of President Akufo-Addo 3/10. What's your own rating, Mr. Jantoa?
Can I even give a rating?
You want to go into the negative?
No,
just give us a figure. Let me come to
what has happened is serious. Where your stronghold decide we won't even go and vote. That should tell you something.
So what, 0/10?
2.5/10.
2.5. Dr. Asante, Mr. Kwame Jantoa says 2.5/10. He's going a step lower, than you did with us yesterday. But, let's begin to try and analyze, first of all, from some of the issues that informed the choice of voters, to vote overwhelmingly for the Akufo-Addo, to vote overwhelmingly for John Mahama and Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. From where you sit, the research you've done, and being a political watcher yourself, what are the key factors that informed this decision of voters?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and good morning to our viewers. I must say that the first of the numerous factors I've listed here, the first one is what? Bad governance. Bad governance. Yes, what is governance? The use of political and economic resources to make life better for everybody. So if you look at it from that perspective, number one, we want to look at what? The economy. Economy is a good indicator, it's a good governance indicator, and they fell so low. The economy was in shambles, and they were always blaming it on Russia and Ukraine. For me, that was the most annoying and the most, difficult to understand. Are you saying that let us take it for the purposes of this conversation, let us assume without admitting that all the problems were, the result of Russia-Ukraine war. But is it not true that government also had a hand in the problems? Some of the dealings of government led us there. Over-borrowing, reckless expenditure, and then what? Mismanagement and all that. The Auditor General report is replete with a lot of what? Waste in our system, financial waste. Transparency International, the local branch, GHOne, Ghana Integrity Initiative, has told us that corruption, every year we lose about $3 billion to corruption. Fix corruption, you don't go to IMF. So it tells you that all these things were part of the problems that really militated against the government. And in the area of economics, it was so high. Look at the treatment they gave to what? Middle class people who have invested their money into T-bills and the rest of them. They were just, rubbing it on their face. The language, you either take it or leave it. They ended up with what? Haircut and all that. To the extent that the former chief of Chief Justice had to picket at the Ministry of Finance to get her due and all that. This is a sorry story. Nobody wants to listen to this. But let me tell you, if you read the literature on voter choices, it's not today or this election. It has been all the time that voters, number one consideration in voting people out of office is when the economy is in bad shape. That's it. Because when the economy improves, it rubs off every sector of what? The Ghanaian society. So once the economy is out of your hand, I'm afraid you are going to lose election. And these signs were clearly on the wall because scholars, financial experts have been prompting them that, look, do away with a number of things from the political and economic system. Stay off a certain course and the rest of them. All of these wise ideas, all right, fell on deaf ears. The government was not ready to deal with that. The second issue relative to governance is issue of corruption. Corruption. We have known that corruption has been one of the problems that have affected our governance system since time immemorial. In fact, since time of Noah, when he was a sailor. But here you are. Our government took it lightly because it has set up Office of Special Prosecutor. But look at it. Go and check Transparency International report on corruption. The two records, John Mahama's era and that of Nana Akufo-Addo. Even when you add Nana Akufo-Addo's first tenure, his highest performance was 43%. And that was John Mahama's worst, 43%. John Mahama was able to move up to 47%. But remember, that report says that the closer you are to 100, the more clean you are. The closer you are to 0, the more corrupt you are. So 47 and 43, which one is closer to 0? It tells you that Nana failed miserably in the fight against corruption.
But on that point, Dr. Asante, we know that when Nana Akufo-Addo was campaigning, one of the issues he campaigned on was corruption. And there was this huge perception of corruption about John Mahama's government. You know, they talked about Bas Brandon, about JIDA, about SADA, about, Ford Expedition and all of that. Then when Nana Akufo-Addo talk about, I'll use the ANAS principle, I'll set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. If you want to make money, don't come into my government, and all of that. He did set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and he did appoint Martin Amidu, who, eventually, resigned. What went wrong along the way? And is that to say that Nana Akufo-Addo's government has proven, based on the information we have now, to be more corrupt than John Mahama's administration was, considering the corruption there and then?
This is the stark reality. Go and read Transparency International report. The figures are there. All right. The figures are there. That Mahama at a point in time clocked 47%. And his lowest was 43%. Nana's highest was he started off with 40 and ended with 43. And I've told you that the explanatory notes accompanying these figures is that the closer you are to 0, the more corrupt you are. The closer you are to 100, the more clean you are. So if you check 47 and 43, which one is closer to 0? It's 43. Obviously, Nana's government lost the fight against corruption. And we saw preponderance of corruption in his government. And he ended up being what? His opponents were calling him what? A clearing officer, which he detested. But I was wondering why he was so much in pain with that, because that was the reality of the ground anyway. We move on to look at the issue of unemployment. All right. There were a lot of youth who were without jobs. And every time the president would tell us that we are creating more jobs and all that. It is true that they created some jobs. But the reality is that there are a lot of people who were without jobs. And obviously, we want to find favor in a government that is new to see whether the problems will be solved. Another thing that pushed them out of power was the issue of arrogance of power and public annoyance. Anytime you see their lifestyle, you see, ordering chiefs around, anything, Nana's posture, was, not the best for governance, and that didn't go down well with the people. And the people, they will just be quiet, but they will vote with their thumb when they are given the opportunity. And we saw that manifesting. You saw arrogance. You saw, public annoyance. We will not hand over power to anybody. We will hand power to Dr. Bawumia. You recall Brian Champong and Co. will never, and I came out, that it doesn't lie in your mouth to make such pronouncement. The people of Ghana will speak, and they've spoken. Let them see whether they will not hand over. They will hand over, because when it's democracy, it's what demos, the people, kratos, ruled by the people. So when the people decide that we are not giving you the power to rule, it's over. And they've spoken loudly about this. Issue of what? Bogus polls. They rely on so many polls that were coming from their own quarters. Oh, we are winning this, we are so and so. Instead of doing the work, all right, they stopped that. And they were wasting my time on bogus polls. Where are the polls? Where are those posters? Right? Yes, I understand the function of statistics in politics, but I tell you, the real politique is in the hands of political scientists and those who have knowledge in that area. So you can draw all manner of, polls and all that. If they are not driven by political ideas and political theories, I'm afraid you won't get anything. And that deceived them a lot. What worried them the most is that they were allowing people from their own quarters to tell them stories about what polls and all that. Give it to people neutral. Do a good job
on the point of the polls, right? What effect would you say they were seeking to achieve by coming out with polls which are favorable to them, even though they may have known that this is not necessarily a true reflection of what they have found out, but to put it out there to sort of encourage the base or whatever that they are winning the election? What effect would putting out a poll that is not necessarily accurate, have on an upcoming election?
One of the important rules of polls is that they help us to gauge the direction of how voters are going to vote. It helps. And it also can be used as a propaganda tool to deceive people into believing that this is what it is, especially when the polls are coming from credible individuals or groups for that matter. Obviously, you see people gravitating towards that. Oh, this people have said it. They have said it many times, and we all saw the story coming through. Oh, we believe them. So credibility, and then those engaging in all those things, right? These are things that influence people. Remember also that polls, well conducted, are nothing but what? The real opinions of the people, telling you that this is what it has to be, and this is how it's going to be. And here you are. Once you get the polls right, you should be able to, do all the stuff and come to the conclusion that you're either winning or losing. So polls, if done very well, will obviously point to a certain direction that will move people along. So polls are very critical. But if they are bogus polls and you rely on them so much, you are going to have your fingers bent. And that is what happened to them. They also had negative campaigns. It is true that they campaign in certain areas all over the country, telling us some of the issues. But there were negative campaigns which they spent much energy on. Look at the adverts. They were attacking their opponent and all that, instead of explaining your policy. What really, the last nail in the coffin of the NPP in this area is that, look at the social media where a lot of youth are. Go there and find out what are the things you that relate to what election and election campaigns. Nothing. Songs, slogans, gestures, dance gestures, and the rest of them. And you ask yourself, is it what the youth are looking forward to? You're looking forward to what? Ideas, solutions of their problems. You give them hope by explaining your policies, and go there, you find little or nothing there except dance gestures and then party symbols and whatnot. I'm afraid that is a wrong one, and that will work against them. So they lost a lot of the youth in that area. Issue of also the MMDCs not performing up to what expectation. Remember, votes come from what? The constituencies. So why did people vote the way they did? Why did they vote that way? It's simply because the MMDCs could not anticipate these problems in that area to prompt the government. Because if they were working, they would have seen the signs on the wall. and it took them by surprise. It turned out to be a tsunami. It tells you that were they working? Because you can hear the sentiments from the constituencies. If you had a DC or MMDC going around doing proper monitoring and survey and all that, you get inkling as to what the direction is going to be. They failed to do their work. Then also the president's governance style, that he appointed people who occupied the position for a very long time without changing them, even though they became non-performing ministers. He continued to keep them in office. But we know that one of the problems of Nana Akufo-Addo as a person is that he believed in loyalty through and through. So he sacrificed competence for loyalty. That if you are loyal, it doesn't matter, even if you don't perform, you are still at post, you are loyal. But that is not governance. That is what? Personal rule and all that. People were also angry about the fact that they've seen a number of his family members in various sectors of the country by way of appointment. There is nothing wrong appointing some of your people into government. But Aristotle, the greatest of all, gave us an idea that government should not be based on what? Familism. He said it is not the best. Government should also not be based on friendship, that cronism. Government should not also be based on patronage, that is using party people alone for all manner of things. He said, look, if you want to appoint people in these three categories, it should be in moderation. The reason being that when they cross the line, you will not be able to punish them. And that also caused him. Look at Kenneth Furata. We saw the economy failing, and the president, it was so difficult for him to throw him out. All right. He threw him out at the 11th hour when the cards were already out of the bag. Here you are. He forgot about Aristotle's word, government, that be careful. You can appoint your people, but in moderation. Otherwise, when they cross the lines, you will not be able to deal with that. Look at issue of what? Then another point worth mentioning here is that this defeat is caused by Bawumia himself and Nana Akufo-Addo. Why I'm saying Nana Akufo-Addo? Because a number of things Nana didn't do right. One would have thought that the vice president will get the courage and tell him that, Mr. President, if we follow this trajectory, it will lead us to doom. So let's stay off from this path and do the right things. When people ask, they said, well, I am what? A driver's mate. I don't make decisions and all that. Look, remember, we don't just select the running mate for fun. We select him based on at least 3 or 4 factors. One, he has what the president doesn't have, and he's going to support him in terms of his ideas and all that. He's bringing something new to support him, and that he appeals to different quarters that are beyond the reach of the president. And above all, he has certain expertise, and that he is bringing on board. Remember, the president told you and I that he's bringing Bawumia because he is the new Adam Smith, and he's going to be the game changer. Event took a different turn. We didn't see Adam Smith in Bawumia, even though from where I sit, I know that he advised some of the issues, he advised government. But if you advise and all your advice definitely will not be taken, or they all fall on deaf ears, all that you need to do is to resign and save your image. So he cannot go and hide in digitization, saying that he's doing well, where the main thrust of his work is economy, and then he left that area. Right? He was just moving into areas that they had economic advantage, and he would jump there and forgetting about economics, as if he has never studied economics before. People saw it as not the best, and it's hypocritical and didn't speak well of them. Then again and again, the issue of Galamsey, which the government shoved it under the carpet and treated it with kid gloves, really had a boomerang effect on his own policy. Look at Western region, a region with 17 constituencies, which is the home, stronghold of the MPP. They lost 15. What is the meaning of this? The chiefs, before the elections, told John Mahama that we want you to promise us that when you win power, you help us to fight Galamsey, because it is causing a lot of devastation to our lands, to our water bodies, forests, and the rest of them. And what was so worrying to them was the fact that those areas were fishing communities. They go to fishing and catch nothing, because the pra, Shama, for instance, they were complaining about the pra being destroyed and entering the sea. They go fishing and nothing. They don't get anything. Here you are. The threat that Galamsey posed to the society and continue to pose to all areas, I tell you, we know the effect. And the president did not mind that. He came at a point in time telling us that one of the companies was not doing illegal, as if he was the PRO for the organization. It was a very sorry statement, right? But here you are. Remember the effect of Galamsey. The heavy metals have finding their way into cocoa pots, into grains, into tubers, and the rest of them. I brought certain scholars from School of Mining and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Legon, and they explained to me that, look, some of the effects, the things that are entering into the food that we eat, you have no idea. You can even see the water change color to clean, but the poisonous materials are still in there, as if we didn't have any government. Remember, in political science, we have what we call state capacity. What is it? It's the ability of the state to make policy and enforce them. And one of its tenets is what we call regulatory capacity, that the state will make laws and enforce them. The state falls flat in this area. There are about three more. When all of them, you lose them, you become a failed state. And virtually, if you look at it, we have lost virtually all of them, except that we are soldiering on. But look, you cannot govern like that. People watching the democratic space will call you to order. And that is how the people call them to order. That enough is enough. Enough of the political nonsense. Let's let's have a government that will stand the test of time and right the wrongs. So the people have spoken. And they have to go and sit home, do soul searching, because Aristotle has told that the unexamined life is not worth living. They should follow Aristotle's statement, do soul searching, and then see what went wrong, and then begin to build themselves. But what they've done to Ghanaians, look, it is nothing but a very sorry experience that we didn't expect it from a government like Nana Akufo-Addo. It is, not the best. It's below the belt.
Right. Interesting points you are raising there, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Let's bring Mr. Jantua back into the conversation.
Mr. Jantua, I remember that in our previous conversations and going into the election, I asked you how you think the results will look like. You were confident that we're likely going to have a situation where those who will control parliament will not be the same people controlling the presidency. Here we are. Many people say it's a tsunami of a result. Are you shocked?
I've eaten humble pie. I'll admit it. I didn't see it coming. And I felt the election was in Ashanti. And I felt from what I had seen visiting Ashanti, the movement and cheddar could have eaten into the MPP
votes
in the Ashanti region.
Then, getting to the end of campaigning, when I realized John Mahama had gone into Ashanti and quickly Bawumia had followed, I felt something is not right here. Something is not right here. And I wasn't able to figure out that there will be such apathy with the MPP in Ashanti. So I'm eating humble pie. And it goes to show. And I remember, I go to Kumasi a lot. And sometimes when I go to Kumasi, I sit in this yellow, yellow, just to hear what people are saying. And you could hear them saying, I go for the buy, then or Yama Santamai, Swami interchange. Who buy a 40-bed hospital bill or and you the training concourse. They were complaining. Food prices, they were complaining. Quite a number of things, they were complaining. We do HB. The HB no Kumase. No person ever to my also a stronghold. And I realized
essentially they were saying that the president was developing Chebi where in the eastern region where he comes from. They say that they see the market difference between the Chebi before Akufo-Addo and the Chebi now, and then they look at the stronghold of the party and they say they don't see anything.
Yes. And so when John Mahama went in there, I felt that if John Mahama was able to get 1 million votes, it could tip it into second round. That was my analysis. But what they have shown me now tells me that don't joke with Ghanaians. In as much as you be a stronghold, what Ghanaians don't like is civil strife, where we'll be fighting amongst each other. They don't like that. They've seen enough coups to not want us to go into any kind of civil strife. So they believe in the Kokromoti, and they are patient to wait. You see, I think Vice President Bawumia also made a big mistake.
Which is?
He indicated that John Mahama, he only has 4 years. When he comes, only 4 years. Me, I come for 8 years, but every president has only 4 years.
Sure.
Don't have 8 years.
With the possibility.
With the possibility. But it made it look as if he's coming in and he'll have 8 years. And it annoyed people. What is he trying to tell us? It is up to us to give you an extra 4 years. But that kind of rhetoric really got, on people's nerves. And they didn't see it. And unfortunately, my own nephew, who in the Ministry of Energy was fantastic, no two ways about it. When I say it was fantastic, in terms of his relationship with the people in the ministry and how he was working, fantastic. And I really didn't know what went wrong with Napo. I really didn't know what went wrong with him, because I don't think he was able to contribute to building Bawumia's strength in Ashanti. And so the whole thing, probably Vice President Bawumia too, he was being goaded on by the MPP and the machinery and what they were saying. We are going to win, we are going to win, and the kind of insults that they were going on about didn't really help.
Do you think that they underestimated the opposition NDC?
Yes, they underestimated. And the opposition NDC, they learned from
their experience in 2016 and 2020.
And they did everything like clockwork. See the number of times they were able to intercept fake ballot papers.
Already thumbprinted ballot papers.
See how they faced soldiers. Was it in Obuase?
Yes.
They were ready not to take any nonsense, and what it was, they wanted to protect the ballot. People say this vote was a referendum on Akufo-Addo. It wasn't a referendum on the MPP. How could it not be a referendum on the MPP? How?
Akufo-Addo comes from the MPP.
Akufo-Addo comes from the MPP. Bawumia comes from the MPP. So you cannot say it was a referendum on Akufo-Addo. Yes, he's the leader. No two ways about that. I would have thought, and I hope, going down the road as we move into this new dimension, Akufo-Addo will find it in his heart to be able to apologize to Ghanaians. I mean, how can you sink $58 million in a hole?
A cathedral.
Oh, it's not a cathedral. Is there a cathedral there?
No, there isn't.
And then you break houses.
Yeah.
Just break it down and say nothing about it. I mean, What president will do that? I find this cathedral thing, I find it strange. Because now, you do not make a vow to God and not take it through. You don't. It is something in the Bible doesn't like. If you make a vow to God, stick to it. Has he been able to stick to it? No. And
but what if the vow does not come with a clean heart? God will not mind if it doesn't go up.
What did he tell us?
He says that's the promise he made to
exactly.
God. But then there was a pushback from the public.
So far as I'm concerned, it was the clean heart, he said.
There was a pushback from the public saying that we have other important things that we should be focusing on. And considering that chorus was so loud, did you realistically think that edifice was going to see the light of day?
After a while, I began to realize that President Akufo-Addo will come and say nice things, but do things differently. I began to see that kind of thing. He said he will protect the public purse. Has the public purse been protected?
Somebody said
will Ghanaians feel the public purse has been protected? We are in debt, 760 billion cedis. Where did that come from? We got nearly $1 billion for COVID. The Fiscal Responsibility Act, we chopped it down and went in there. And we kept giving promises that we couldn't keep. And people were finding it difficult. Kenke, how much?
7 cedis.
5 cedis in different parts.
Small ball.
6, 7.
Bread.
I had a price of kinky argument with one of our panelists some time back on GH today, right? Where she mentioned that kinky is 5 cedis and even 7 cedis in some cases. And I hadn't bought kinky for 7
cedis before.
For 7 cedis
and
before, right?
Also heard.
I hadn't heard kinky 7 cedis before, but I had been buying kinky for 5 cedis, right? So I said, I've not heard kinky 7 cedis before. I only know of 5 cedis. When I put it to the panelists, she said, no, kinky is 7 cedis in certain areas, 7 cedis in certain areas, and I was, disputing it. And then I went into the Facebook comments, and a plethora of comments, about 10, pointing to me places where I'll go and they are selling kinky for 7 cedis. So I ate my humble pie, just like Mr. Johnson said.
So you asked the question, was President Akufo-Addo a dictator? Because really,
the opponents said yes.
I could not understand how 90, or were they 90 or 80? 80 members of parliament were dead against a finance minister he had put there. And they came to you, and what happened? They left with their tail between their legs. And you asked the question, were they scared of the president? And did he find that kind of attitude nice? And I think after a while, it got to his head where he can tell a chief or his aide-de-camp or his bodyguard can tell a chief to get up because the president is coming. How is that possible? How is that possible?
He didn't tell the 2-4 to get up, though.
You won't try it in Ashanti. You will not try it in Ashanti. You will not try it. You see, and President-elect Mahama should learn from this. It should be a huge, huge learning curve from this. And if he doesn't communicate effectively, then it's going to be difficult. Because right now, people are shining their eye.
And yesterday he acknowledged it in his speech. And even before that, the speech, in the final rally, he said that Ghanaians are going to hold them to even higher standards compared to what was done to the NPP. And yesterday, during the victory speech, he says, looking at the overwhelming majority, it tells them one thing. and what the Ghanaians are looking for. And if they fail to do it, they'll have themselves to blame.
He should be able to tell us in real time what he can do. He has only 4 years.
4 years, yes.
But what he should try and do, he should put a trajectory in place that any government that comes in can follow that trajectory.
So a roadmap.
He should put it in place because he has only 4 years. Number two, he should make sure he doesn't hire anybody who has presidential ambitions for 2028.
So why that?
He goes in 2025, 2026, 2027. The person will be interested in their presidential bid than do the work they've given him. So he shouldn't even go down that road, no matter how good the person is. Because at the present moment, who is the successor in the NDC today? Who would you say will succeed?
As of now, it's
not very clear. It's not very clear.
But in the MPP, you could say, if machinations don't come in, you could say Vice President Bawumia would be a clear favorite. But machinations can come in. They might tell Vice President Bawumia, we gave you the chance, but look at the disaster you brought. So it's going back to Ashanti. Now, if it goes back to Ashanti, it goes back as an account party. Who within that space will take it up? The crisis in our politics going forward, in terms of leadership, is something we should start thinking about.
All right, let me bring back Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, into this thing and into this this conversation. And one question that I had wanted to ask earlier, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, is the issue of religion and whether or not it played a role, in this election in any way, shape, or form. We saw the vice president from one church to another, talking about how he's the patron of the Presby Boys Brigade, among other things. It seemed as though when he met Muslims, he would say, vote for me because I'm one of your own, but he'd also tried to take steps to endear himself to Christians, as well, by going to the church and saying he's a patron of Methodist Boys Brigade, and all of that, right? How much of a role did religion play in this election?
Yes, before I answer that, there were a few points that I couldn't exhaust. Let me touch on them and then tie it up with what you have asked.
Right.
One of the things that also took them away was the issue of populism. You saw them campaign and they were sitting in Pragia. What do you want to tell people? You were just annoying them. You saw people going to wash clothing for people. When did you start doing that business for me? For many years. Those are things that call public annoyance. And it affected them that much. Some of them, I saw one of them who was a driver's mate. You saw the video. What kind of activity is that?
I mean, my Kokwe was washing clothes for, people.
He was washing clothes. And I was looking forward to him to come to my house. And he will be inundated with work. He will run away. What kind of these things are populist in nature. They do not bring vote. They rather anger people. Another issue is that, look, in political science, we're saying that if you are running a government, you need a political officer. Somebody who has knowledge in politics, so much so that he can advise government from time to time on strategic moves. That was conspicuously missing. Because, look, 3-4 months to elections, we saw public opinion issues coming to the fore. And these are the things we use to gauge whether a government will survive or not. Public opinion issue. You saw almost every worker was on strike. It tells you that no, there's something totally wrong. And the political officer should have seen this. Because you always need that political officer who is nothing but a political John the Baptist to see things ahead to advise government. He didn't see that. In no time, every worker was on strike against government. 2, at a point in time, almost public workers were demonstration, and there were demonstration from private individuals and all that. Once you see demonstration upon demonstration, the government is going down. They are the early warning signals. They did not pick that. Then you see arrest and detention and all that. No. You recall 2008, they started arresting taxi drivers and all that. And then when we're going for second round, I remember Christian Churchill knelt down before and begging people. Nobody gave them any chance. They voted against them. These are what the law exists, but there is the need for you to balance it with politics so much that you don't incur the wrath of voters, especially when you are going for elections. And you saw that they couldn't pay attention to this. You saw, and one of the issues when the government is losing power, you see scholars talking, and you saw a lot of them talking across all the networks, telling government, don't do this, don't do that, don't follow this path, and all that. All fell on deaf ears. And once I got that, I told myself that this government is heading for doom. Then I will come and look at what issue of what cathedral and what Pualugu down. We didn't get anything. Look, and I believe that those who were responsible for this should answer question one day. Pualugu down. Where is the $12 million? We did not find anything. Cathedral, over $40-something million. Where is it? Where is it? Remember that one of our pains is the issue of corruption, and if we have this problem solved, we'll be able to save some money for our development. And then politics of lies and deception. There are scholars who have written a book, and the scholars, the lead scholar, the lead author of that publication is Donovan. He's saying that politics is associated with lies, manipulation, and deception, and we saw that. I will make Ghana the cleanest city in Africa. Where is the cleanest city? I will protect the public purse. Where is the public purse that you protected? And a host of this. All right. They tell you something and they come and do politics of lies and deception. Once people get to know that this is government which does not operate on honesty, I'm afraid you are going to have your fingers bent. Then Bawumia himself and Kennedy Japan were also the cause of NPP defeat. Why am I saying that? You saw when they were going for primaries, Kennedy was speaking about this, that, true. They were the truth. He was pointing out. But I came out to tell them that, look, if you destroy yourself so much that, a time will come, obviously one of you will emerge as victorious. And when you destroy that person so much, you cannot repair that image. So you saw that the campaign, they were playing back Kennedy's tape to him. And it affected Bawumia so much. He said, Kennedy said that the MPP lost the election as of 2022. He said, look, you call yourself strategists and you pick the power from NDC when CD was equivalent to dollar in the ratio of 1:4. And now you push it to 12. He said he has traveled along all the nook and cranny of this country and all the 275 constituencies, 1D, 1F, he doesn't see any sign there. Here you are. He talked about the fact that they were looting the state. MP people were looting the state as if there is no tomorrow. What change? In no time. All right. Bawumia becomes what? The flag bearer. And how do you, and your party is going for what? Campaign. What can you do to change what you have said? And then Bawumia, the role he played in his own defeat is the very numerous lectures that he held, pointing out the weakness of John Mahama. People kept them and played the tape to him. All right. And confirm things. When the fundamentals are weak, exchange rate will expose you. Workers are suffering. They played the team. And I remember your colleague Ibrahim at the press conference reciting some of the things Bawumia said. He had no choice than to laugh. All right. He could not answer them. So he fell on his own dagger. But I'll come back to your question about ethnicity or religion. You talk about religion. Religion doesn't play any significant role in elections. People who say that are those who have no knowledge about the literature on voter choices. And I speak on authority. All right. Because if that is the case, let's look at it. Bawumia himself wouldn't have won the MPP primaries because the MPP is predominantly a Christian organization. So, but they voted for him based on other reasons, not the religion that he professed. No. If you look at it, if that is anything to go by, you will also want to see that why did the North some of the places which are highly Islamic, highly Muslim society. Why did they vote the way they vote? They voted against him simply because they are not moved by the fact that you are a Muslim or not. Look at the Zungos. He lost all. Is it not the Muslim they were voting against? He really angered them. Because if you talk to some of the Muslim clerics and believers of the Islam, they will tell you that he visiting, these places, the churches and all that, subjecting himself to all manner of deals and pretending to be what he is not, angered a lot of people. And that tells you that religion doesn't play any role. People were also talking about the fact that, this is the first time MPP is getting a Muslim, so he's going to pull the Muslim vote. Where is it? It tells you that that is not a factor for voter choices. And similarly, we can talk the same thing about ethnicity. Ethnicity doesn't play a role in Ghanaian politics, because if that is the case, anytime we go for election, Akan is the dominant ethnic group in Ghana, and you come face to face with Akan, you have lost the election ab initio. But is that the case? The Fourth Republic, we have seen an Eve in a person of Rollins leading the country. He's not Akan. So why are you talking about ethnicity here? We've seen John Mahama coming from a minority group, the Gonjas, winning election and winning again. Is it about ethnicity? It is not. It is not. You saw 1979, Liman winning over Victor Uzo and the rest of them. Yes. And if you look at even Bawumia, how he won the primaries, was it because, ethnicity is a case? Ethnicity is not a case, because those who contested in MPP primaries were 10. Out of the 10, 8 were Akans. Out of the 8, 7 were Ashantis. So what are you talking about? Would they vote for him? But he won all the areas and won all the Ashanti boys who contested for election. It tells you that other factors push him into victory, not religion or ethnicity. So if you put emphasis on religion and ethnicity, you are going to have your fingers bent.
So moving forward, would you say is installed for the NPP? How should they, what should they look back on, reflect on, and how should they restructure so that perhaps in the next election in 2028, they can do way better than they did this time around?
As I've already said, soul searching is the key. Just sit down, calm yourself, and then tell yourself that, look, we got it all wrong. That is the first step, soul searching. Then you want to see what went wrong, and you want to find what went right. You can only do this by research, sending out people, enumerators who are not party boys, to give you cock and bull stories. Neutral people to go and find out what really went right, what really went wrong. Once you get that, you begin to understand the situation out there. They will tell you, if you develop your instrument, your questionnaire so well, that you'll be able to elicit a lot of positive responses to be able to prepare yourself for the battle ahead. That is how they should start. And then the questionnaire can also elicit responses if you put in questions that relate to conflict. How do you manage conflict after elections, when people have gone through primaries and their pain and all that, and you'll be able to get responses and you find solution. You demand solution from those interviewees. You'll be able to get a whole lot of things, and that becomes the blueprint for you to be able to organize the party in a formative and a formidable manner, so as to face the next battle.
Right. Now, moving forward, the chairman of the party, Stephen Ntim, becomes once again the leader of the party. Dr. Bawumia is, the flag bearer, but the election is over. What role should Bawumia be playing in the party moving forward? And also, his chances of coming back, because already people believe that he can come back and contest again in 2028. How feasible will that be?
I'll start with the last aspect of your question. Coming back. I'm not a prophet of doom. Bawumia is a nice person. People say that he has no idea in economics, he doesn't have what it takes and all that. That's a propaganda, it's a lie. He is superior in economics. He has superior understanding of the issue. I have no doubt in my mind. But as to whether he will gain a second chance, I'm afraid. Why am I saying that? If you look at their primaries, those who contested, 10 out of them are Akans, 7 Asantis. The Asantis were sending a certain signal that we are not happy. Look, this party has been captured by their chums, and that there's a need for us to take back our party. They will not communicate this thing directly to you, but people like us, we can see 7 of them. And if you look at the defeat against them, heavy, and they complain that the government manipulated the system and all that. So that really propped Bawumia up and gave him the chance to be the flag bearer. Now that that person who is supporting him is not in office, we want to see. And even he contests election, I can tell you that Santa boys will make sure that he will not succeed. I can assure you. Yes, but it will take a long time for him to organize himself and come back, because he's a good material. If I were him, I will stay back, reflect. I will not be part of the next contest. Even if I'll go and test the waters. But I tell you, the Shanti have been in pain, but except that they will not wash their dirty linen outside. No, they are quiet, but they are strategic. You saw the apathy in Ashanti reading. Apathy is nothing but protest vote. They are telling you that, but of course, for a pure Asante person who believes in MPP through and through, if he doesn't want to vote, he will not vote for NDC. No, but what he prefer to do is to not go to vote. And that, when you get this in political science, when somebody refuses to vote, it is an indirect vote against you. Imagine you were expecting 10 people to vote for you at a constituency A, and then 5 show up, 5 didn't come. You are going to share the 5 votes with your opponent. It means that the 5 has voted against you. So they voted against them. And if you know the voting psychology of ethnic groups where they vote in blocks, this is one of them. And MPP became oblivious of this fact, and it's out there.
Dombo, part of the
aspect. Sorry,
does it mean that the Dombo side, of the NPP tradition, for a long time it was Dankwa Buzia. Then we began to hear Dankwa Buzia Dombo, because there were attempts to bring the Dombo element back, which is from the northern side, Bawumia side. So does it effectively mean that side is going to be relegated to the background again?
Oh, the people were just deceiving them with that type of nomenclature, if I may put it that way. It doesn't exist anywhere. That thing is not true. Dankwa, Dombo, Buzia tradition. Look, after the 1954-56 election, all the opposition party lost to the CPP. Are you with me? And the CPP came out in 1958 with PDA, Preventive Detention Act. And the act says that, look, we know all the details about the act. So as they brought the act, it's one of the things that the act did was to tie opposition, put them in jail and all that. But they also passed a law called there's a certain law that ban all political parties that were formed based on religion, ethnicity, and the rest of that. The law, Mr. Jantua will help me with that law. I've just forgotten it for a moment. They banned. So all the parties gang up and form a UP, United Party. And the United Party consisted of Muslims Association Party, remnants of that, Northern People's Party, all of them including NLM. They formed the UP. So if you form the UP, and the UP, out of it, we have had Progress Party, we have had Popular Front Party, we've had UNC, and today we've had NPP. On what basis can you say that it's Dankwa, Buzia, and Dombo? A lot of groups were part of it. What about the Gashifumokwe? When would be their time? Dangno Youth Organization. They were all tribalist parties. So when the law was passed, it prescribed all political parties form on religion or ethnicity and all that. So they came together. So that nomenclature should not exist in their vocabulary at all, because it's discriminatory in nature and all that. So all that they have to consider is that they come from the root of Dankwa Buzia, and that they are building a party that reflects the views and aspirations of all those who contributed effectively towards that, because things have changed so much that it is even sometimes difficult to find those who were in and all that. But what they are doing at the moment is very, very discriminatory, because the UP tradition is not made up of only Dangwa, Dombo, and Buzia. We have the Anglo Youth Organization. You have the Muslims Association Party. We have what Northern People's Party remnants in there, and the rest of them. What about them? When would they have their turn to be able to operate? That is discriminatory.
All right, Doc, Mr. Janswa has a question for you, and he also has the law that
I'll give you the
about.
law. The law is the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, 1957
yes.
Act 38. And this act prohibited the formation and operation of political parties based on ethnic, religion, or religious affiliations. The law aimed to promote national unity and prevent the exploitation of ethnic and religious differences for political gain.
Right.
So
Thank you, Mr. Janto. Avoidance of Discriminating Act.
Yes, that was the law.
Prescribe all political parties form on ethnic, religious, and sectarian lines. So Gashifumokwe was considered as what? An ethnic party. Muslim Association Party, a religious organization. Northern People's Party, what? A regionalist party. And then even NLM. Then this National Liberation movement was purely an Akan party.
Yeah.
So all these things came together, including Anglo Youth Organization. Remember, all these groups, if you look at their motto, their aims were very, very interesting. Muslims Association Party were interested in people who were Muslims and those living in Zungu. That's the interest they were protecting. And the Northern People's Party were interested in people of Northern extraction. They said people were looking down upon their culture and all that. They formed their Bawumia family people. They were members of that party. And of course, you have Anglo Youth Organization who were looking at your interests of not only the general efforts, but Anglo in specific. Are you with me? So this law came and prescribed all those parties. So on what basis? So they went under the umbrella UP, United Party.
Right.
So when you single out a few of them, it is discriminatory in nature.
But
Mr. Johnson, to your question, yes.
But Doc, let me touch on the bit that you talked about. The Ashantis coming back for their party. Aren't there factions in the MPP? When you look at Japadia and you read it, there are factions. There's the, the Achim faction. There's the Ashanti faction. However, there isn't a Northern faction. And the likelihood is that if President Akufo-Addo is still strong within the party, those factions will clash for them to be able to now come out and say we've taken our party or we haven't taken our party, because that Achim bit is strong and they wouldn't want to let go. They would not want to let go.
I agree with you. Factions or factionalism exists in all parties, including your own party, CPP. We have that.
Yes.
But what we are saying is that, look, at a point in time when you lose a major election like this, the issue of who is the strong man in the party doesn't occur. People are going to emerge from the blocks, the Achim block, the Kwapem block, the Asante block, and all that. And those who have a lot of resources and power within the party who sway all the argument, I can tell you. So I tell you, what we saw in the primaries within the NPP were 10 of the contestants. Out of them, 8 were what? Accounts.
So Doc, let me ask you a question. Let me put the cat amongst the pigeons. Will Shematin be a bet for the MPP today? In terms of him, yes, in terms of him coming back and putting the party back to where it's supposed to be. Do you think that could be a possibility?
To come back and he is able to win the north of the party, I can tell you, he can shake the foundation of the elections of 2028. I can assure you.
What about Kennedy Japan?
Kennedy has a large following, but I tell you, Kennedy, we know his character. Very good man with ideas and all that. But sometimes his utterances and all of those things create a lot of difficulty for him. He winning MPP slot is going to be a difficult one from where I sit. But I tell you, he's a very fine gentleman and all that, because they see him as very good. But his, abrasive nature and all that sometimes is a problem. I can tell you, because the NPP all the time, they are looking for somebody with a certain character. so that they can what? Sell. Yes, Kennedy, fine gentleman, man of ideas. He is very plain to the issue that he believes in and all that. But in terms of diplomacy, he's not.
But off the top of your head, is there any name that comes to mind off the top of your head? You know,
it's too early in the day. But I can tell you, if you look at the Asante block, you are going to get a lot of people coming up. A lot of people coming up.
Right.
And I tell you, somebody like Bwachie Jakun, you and I know that he stands very tall. Very, very, very tall. If Bwachie Jakun had led the party, the story would have been different. I can tell you. I can tell you. Or Alan.
Doc, let me ask
I can tell you.
Let me ask you. The Daroches, the Apia Minkes of that time, are they distinct from the people we have today?
Oh, obviously, we don't have them. The Daroches, we have lost them forever. Because they will put their foot down and turn Nana Akufo-Addo in his face and Nana, look, you are sending the party to opposition. They will be able to muster the courage and do that. Those people are missing, conspicuously missing in the party. And they are not able to what? Hold the feet of the government to the heat of accountability and call him to order. Because all the things that were happening, they were signals that were sending the government to opposition. We needed somebody with the capacity to put his foot down and tell another, look here, we will not take this. It will not happen on our watch. We lack those men. We lack. And it's not only within NDC, MPP, it's throughout Ghana. Yeah. Where are our leaders today? People who can stand and say, look, this is wrong and wrong. Because of what? Stomach politics. They will not speak. Because the next day, their bread and butter will be taken away from them. We don't have selfless people like Nkrumah who die without any home. Can you imagine this? He has no house. Jesus Christ.
So moving forward, Doc. Now you wanted to come in.
You talk about how we do not have people that speak truth to power. We have a few who do that, but when they do, are they not victimized?
Yes.
See, in politics, if you really want to understand how to use power and don't be afraid of what power, I will urge you to read a book written by Madeleine Albright. It's a very voluminous book.
Yes.
But read the preface.
Yes.
There is the preface in there.
Yes.
The book is titled The Mighty and the Almighty. In there, when the woman wrote the book, Mr. Clinton wrote the foreword. And Clinton's foreword is that, look, part of it is that in politics, if you are afraid to step on toes, you remain still. Fear not. Step on toes and speak the mind and damn the consequence. Come on.
And moving forward, Doc, with all of these lessons that the MPP, can learn, let's talk about GHOne Mahama's new administration moving forward, right? Mr. Jantwa here was even suggesting earlier that perhaps GHOne Mahama should not even be thinking about appointing anybody that he knows will have a presidential ambition, in future. In terms of governance, moving forward, and looking also at the mistakes of the Akufo-Addo government, right, and his experience from 2012 to 2016 when he was president, how should GHOne Mahama be governing moving forward?
Excellent question. Excellent question. All we need, first and foremost, that those who have held position of authority in this government must be made to account for the stewardship of their office. That set the tone for proper governance. If you come and shove it under the carpet, I'm afraid it will backfire, and the effect will lead them toward opposition. They should. And it is not witch hunt, and it is not anything new. If you read our constitution, the preamble, it tells us that we believe in so many principles, including probity, accountability, and all that. And remember, we are signatories to what? The good governance concept. Part of it is that there is what? Accountability. That all public office holders at a point in time you'll be called upon to what? To answer for your actions and inactions. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, look, what sent MPP to opposition is nothing but what? The poor health of our economy. Because when the economy is in top shape, it robs up every sector and it makes every sector the best. So strengthen the economic frontiers of our economy and make sure that the economy is able to deliver the public good by creating employment, by making sure that it affects every sector positively. When you do that, you'll be able, by extension, you'll be able to create a means of livelihood for everybody. One thing that the government should not lose sight of issue of what? Unemployment. There's a lot of youth who are without work, jobs. They are hungry. Remember, a hungry man is an angry man. Get them jobs, let them work. The fair job he can create for them is that get all those who are into illegal mining, bring them. That look, you need to be put into jail, but look, come and obtain license and do proper small-scale mining. You can imagine the number of people you can employ there. I interviewed a certain professor. He was the head of School of Mining at the UMAT, and he told me that the first quarter of this year, Ghana raking $2.2 billion from small-scale mining. Meanwhile, you and I are at IMF looking for $3 billion with a big cane around our neck. Can you imagine that? So imagine a year what we will gain in terms of resources from what? The mining sector. And it has been able to employ within this short time 1 million people. Expand the frontiers, I can tell you. You even will want to import people to come and work in the mining sector, so that they should not lose sight on the fact that people are seriously looking for jobs. Not only that, the health of this country is critical. When CDD called the political parties, including MPP and NDC, that come and show us what you have in terms of your mathematics for the health sector. How much money do we need to strengthen the health sector and all that? They couldn't answer. It was a sorry story to me. So it tells me that, look, people were just engaging in promising without giving us the mathematics of it. They should stay focused and get us something meaningful for the health sector. So must be done for education. Strengthen education. Make education accessible. Make education very attractive, so that the people will churn out from our universities, from our schools, will be able to rub shoulders with those in the first world. And then the politics of deception must cease, so that issue of doom so, which this government tells us that it doesn't exist and all that. I tell you, when we are done with the election and IPPs begin to demand their money and all that, you see what will happen. And that problem must be fixed, and fixed once and for all. And then issue of meritocracy should exist in Mahama's government. We were sick and tired about nepotism, cronism associated with Akufo-Addo's government. It should be the old order. We should change. The old order must change depth, and we should give birth to the principle of meritocracy. And I tell you, the reason why I'm putting emphasis on meritocracy is that if you read the U.S. history, there is a law called the Pendleton Act. This winner takes all syndrome led to a situation that somebody was dissatisfied with what was happening, walked to the president, gunned him down, and American decided to chart a new path. The UK also move away from this, the spoil system, and introduce the civil service, which is based on meritocracy. Let us move on that trajectory. And above all, we want to see a review of this constitution, where there are a number of problems that are emanating from the constitution. Let's retweak the constitution and make it a living document that will address all our concerns.
Right. Well, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
The name of the book.
The name of the book?
Yeah, Madeleine Albright's book.
Yeah, The Mighty and Almighty.
The Mighty and the Almighty.
The Mighty and Almighty.
All right.
The forward is what you read.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So don't be afraid to step on toes. Otherwise, you remain Steel. It's a very voluminous book, bigger than my head, you can imagine.
Doc, we're so grateful that you've spoken to us this morning here on GH today. It's been very insightful, and we're grateful to you as always for speaking to us.
I am also happy to be here and serve my country with breakfast.
Thank you. And that's a good breakfast indeed. This is full Ghanaian breakfast there. So that's Dr. Asah-Asante there. He is political scientist at the University of Ghana, speaking to us, sort of doing a bit of a postmortem, in the aftermath of this election and all of that. We'll take a short break here now, Didi and Mr. Jantwa. When we return, we still got more. Mr. Jantwa is still here with us, and of course, we'll be hearing from him a lot more here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
hear the birds singing, now my alarm ringing.
Ladies and gentlemen, now to the results of the 2024 presidential election. And the results will be announced based on the positions of the presidential candidates on the ballot. Mahama Bawumia of the NPP obtained 4,657,304, being 41.61%. Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the GCPP obtained 16,673, being 0.15%. Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement obtained 16,461, being 0.15%. Kofi Apalu of the LPG obtained 5,219, being 0.09%. Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party obtained 4,413, being 0.04%. Nana Akosua Frimpong of the CPP obtained 23,397, being 0.21%. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397. And I'd like to repeat that. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397, being 56.55%. Mr. Hassan Ayariga of the APC obtained 17,461, being 0.16%. Mr. Kofi Kranting, independent candidate, obtained 3,320, being 0.03%. Mr. George Chumberima Edu, independent candidate, obtained 3,091, being 0.02%. Nana Kwame Biediaku, independent candidate, obtained 84,478, being 0.05%. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremanting, independent candidate, obtained 31,202, being 0.28%. The total valid votes cast add up to 11,191,422. Total rejected votes 239,109. Total votes cast 11,430,531. It's important to mention that the total registered voters add up to 18,774,159. And the percentage voter turnout based on the 267 constituencies stands at 60.9%. 60.9% based on the 267 constituencies. And as I mentioned, this does not include the 9 constituencies whose results we are yet to receive. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned earlier, results from the 9 constituencies are still as outstanding. The 9 constituencies are Ewutu Senya East, in Sawam, Aduajiri, Akwetia, Ahafo Anon North, and Damango. The total registered voters in all 9 constituencies add up to 947,116. In the event that all the valid voters from the 9 constituencies above voted for the candidate who placed second, the total number of votes he would garner would be 5,604,420, representing 46.17% of the total valid votes, which would have been 12,138,538. The inclusion of the outstanding constituencies would have given the leading candidate 52.13%, which is still greater than the 50% plus 1 required to be declared a winner. And so even with that scenario, he's clearly the winner of the 2024 election. In the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana with a total percentage of 56.55%. Congratulations, sir. It is finished. Thank you very much.
Na yama obi aso so afisia pa eyeda meme dai Ghana nyina no ye elections na ayade a Ashanti region so nasa Ashanti regional party no so so yakọ election ni bi na so no obia no ede obia nim sese na eyese yebeba na yaba beda obi bia ase enti de di kan ye de aseda de ma otwedi ampo nyankopon se kwahwe yeso ama de pa aba bechen na yado nyankopon ase awie susu no na wose yeda nipa no bi susu ase yeda santeman ase na no dai yehu say flag bearer the vice president and the leader of MPP Dr. Mahama Bawumia Baha okoyura opimso ho akosre ne mpaebo ahemfo ahodo yekomo ho akosre o mpaebo constituency bia yekoy ye ne ahemfo ye ne ezongo chiefs ye no nyame asofo eni muslimi for so asofo nyina no ebihia obi a enti isia adwumayefo ene business people ACI adwumfo enu omuhia sansoso ena omo omusua ensano adwuma ene wo mo a ankurankura so omo omunyuma soso ye ne omunyina soso hia eyese as a campaign manager and the regional chairman meba na yede na access runko yede abre media for yede ama obi biara o wa santimantem hase ewo mu se enye obi a na koto abane de na soso wono koto ye yebeda wo wase wona on koto soso yebeda wo wase na yasre otwedi ampo nyankopon se ono ene onima de krontia Oma deɛ kye no oma deɛ sa. Yɛne Nyankopɔn ni bibia apre. Yɛne Onyankopɔn yɛne ni nsɛmbisa bebree. Yɛne ni akom. Ɛfiri sɛ ɛyɛ yɛ panyi a ɔda ya no akyerɛ sɛ ɔyɛ obi a osuro Onyankopɔn. Ɔyɛ obi a Ghana dana koma so. Yewura Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia esida babia no ko bia twen se ka electoral commission kura no beba na ode results beba betu dwa ansana se obefre na wa congratulate obi a congratulate no obi wo kura no electoral commission kura bia betu ho congratulations kura ebi mba nanso ye leader oda ya no aye Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia odi call 2024.
Welcome back to the show. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Just gone by, we had a great conversation with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante from the University of Ghana. He's a political science lecturer. Of course, my co-host today and host of the Morning Star, Nadedetete, is here in the studio.
Yes,
and,
we're here.
Kwame Jantwa is here as well.
So good morning once again to our listeners on Star 103.5 FM. Don't worry, tomorrow you have me all to yourself, so I will be back.
We've captured her today. We've captured you today. But of course, it's great to have you.
For good reason.
You know, and during the election coverage, I was on with you most of the time.
Most of the
I mean, they decided to uproot Lily and Sewa and bring you. So it's all good.
Were you shocked with the results?
With the results?
Yes.
I was not shocked with the results of the presidential election. I was rather shocked with the outcome of the parliamentary election. And I was expressing it, to Nade today because I was born in Sunyani and I grew up in Sunyani. I went to primary school and JSS in Sunyani. Up till now, my parents, still live in Sunyani because they settled there. So they still live in Sunyani. So Sunyani is like home, for me, even though I'm from the north. Tamale is home. Sunyani is also home, right? And knowing Sunyani for the town that it is or the city that it is, no one would ever in their wildest dreams imagine that the Sunyani East constituency will become an NDC seat. It is not possible. These are seats that were held by GH Mensa, the GH Mensa, the stalwart of the NPP, GH Mensa, right down to Kwesi Amaya chairman and all of that. You will not imagine that the Sunyani East constituency will ever fall to the NDC. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. It's like thinking Bantama will vote for NDC. Or Sunyani West. Sunyani West, that seat for the longest time has been held by Ignatius Bafwewa, Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, in Swatreman Rural Bank. Ignatius Bafwewa, when you talk about MPP in the Bono areas, you mentioned Bafwewa's name. And for Bafwewa to lose to Millicent Amankwa, Millicent Amankwa is a young
That's your
girl.
biggest shock, I think.
I'm not too sure because in the last election, Millicent did well.
It was a good showing.
It was a good showing, but Bafwewa is a colossus, right? I mean, kudos to Millicent because Millicent is from the Sunyani West constituency. There's a town, it's it's part of Sunyani. It's called Udumase, right? That's where she's from. So she's an indigene, of the area. But for Bafwewa to fall the way that he did, it's unimaginable.
Would it be safe to say that this election is breaking down strongholds?
It is.
Yes, and going forward,
it is.
We should not count on strongholds.
No.
But rather count on performances of governments in power.
I think we should.
To determine whether they'll come back or not.
I think this election has shown that, by the way, the NDC strongholds were intact.
Yes.
The NDC strongholds have been very intact. It's the NPP strongholds that have broken down a bit, even though they won Ashanti and Eastern. It's still broken because NDC has made more inroads into the stronghold of the NPP than the NPP didn't make any inroads whatsoever into any stronghold of the NDC. They didn't. But the NPP has made inroads into the stronghold of the NPP in the Ashanti region, moving the number of seats that they held from 3 or 4, right, all the way to about 8 now, right, with people like KT Hammond losing their Dansia Sokwa seats. I mean, would you imagine that Katie Hammond will lose Adansi Asokwa? You will not imagine that. Would you imagine that Andrew Ejapa Mensah, in the history of Ghana, Sekondi has never voted. They've been UP to MPP. So you imagine that Ejapa Mensah will fall, or Sekondi will fall to NDC. So to that, I believe that this is showing us that, like you mentioned, when the people are fed up with your bad governance, and Dr. Asa Asante has enumerated quite a lot of them, right? If the people are fed up with your bad governance and they are even in your stronghold,
they will show you.
They will vote against you,
or they will
by not showing up.
Yes.
It's a vote against you. They will protest against your bad leadership, your bad governance, because you are the one who happens to be the leader at that particular point in time, and you've ruled in a very bad way. So we don't like you and your governance. We still like our party,
you see,
but we are showing you that we don't like what you've done, we don't like what you stand for, we don't like where you've taken us, and so we will not even come and vote for you and allow your opponents to win, to teach you a lesson that you cannot continue to take us for granted in this country and show arrogance because you are the one who is now sitting on the high seats and you don't care about anybody. That is the clear message that Ghanaians have sent.
You see, Lantam, there was a sign that probably the MPP didn't take into cognizance. That sign was the split in Parliament. 137, 137.
Yes.
Because it came after 2016. It came 2020. That should have told them things aren't all that good. It should have told them. But they took it as, okay, fine. And look at where it has ended them. Apart from that, would we be right in saying that with this election and going forward, there will be no swing regions anymore?
Oh, there will be swing regions. But I think this is a wave of change. It's a wave of change that is blowing because people are just fed up with the status quo and the establishment, right? The status quo and those who properly represent the establishment.
But did you hear what they said when Mahama won? They said, you to try it.
Yeah.
You to try it. So it's not really a wind of change. It is, we are watching you.
Yeah.
We are watching you. If you do anything ultra-virus to what we want, especially if you don't communicate well, and that is one of the major problems of the MPP government. They don't know how to communicate effectively. They weren't able to sell some of the things they said they had done effectively to the people to see what they had done. Because really, when you look at the STEM schools they have built, fantastic. Whether where they have built it makes sense is another thing. But when you look at the STEM schools that have been built, beautiful. Were they able to sell it? I don't think so. I do not think so.
But you see, there are people who say that it goes beyond, for instance, the NPP prides itself in the free SHS, the STEM schools and all that. But then there are others...
I think they overdid the free SHS.
Well, then there are others who argue that, but beyond the free SHS, what else have you been doing? Because you would find an individual who is perhaps not a mother yet, does not have a child who is in senior high school that is going to benefit from it. Maybe the person is working a normal 9-to-5 job, but then again, things are so tough that person is bearing the brunt of that tough economic conditions. And you keep telling her or him about free SHS. How does that benefit the person? So the people say, yes, you have done fantastic in education, but it goes beyond that. Was that not the case?
You know, the one thing that they could have done and done very well in terms of making sure that people didn't suffer too much was the banking crisis.
Yes.
How much of a role did that play?
Oh, it played a huge role.
Yeah. It changed the course of people's lives.
A huge role. How can you find somebody who's a banker, or going to school, he's learned, he's in the banking, driving Uber? Oh,
I know one who decided to open a pork grilling joint.
Yes.
But thank God for his life. He's actually now doing pretty well with his small pork grilling joint, and he's still doing
now some did well transferring into other occupations.
But, quite a lot of people, the cascading effects.
Yes.
Because those who were there, those who were depending on them, the cascading effects.
And they didn't show any empathy to where these people found themselves. So far as they're concerned, the bank crisis, and they spent too much money
on it.
You cannot tell me that there was no corruption in that bank crisis. You cannot tell me. And I would love the Auditor General to have a look at it. This claim, is it called claim the loot? Is that what it's called?
Recover all loot. Operation Recover All Loot.
Now, if President-elect is going to go into this, he should go into it and get the evidence.
Shouldn't be hasty.
So that nobody comes to say witch hunting. Get the evidence, black and white. You cannot say no, it didn't happen. Based on that evidence, do your prosecution. Because John Mahama's time now is more a legacy he's leaving than anything else. And he wants to be able to leave that legacy where, like in Nkrumah, they still talk about him today in the next 15, 20 years. But if he comes in, starts, and then down the line, he starts wobbling, not doing what he's supposed to do, then it will create massive challenges for him. You could see, and I'm sure you watched it, when Jean Mensah was calling out the figures and they showed him in his house. You could see that
he was reflecting.
Yes.
It's like a weight is now being put before us. He's reminiscing about he's thinking about the enormity of the task at hand. Because this is where the economy is. I have to bring the economy back.
Which people is he going to appoint to get this thing off the table and get it running?
Very critical.
Very, very critical. And this is where, and maybe NDC people should be very mindful that, okay, we have fought the fight and we have to come first to do it. If there are others outside who can come in and help, he should open up to that.
Yeah, he should.
And the NDC people shouldn't say, oh, we fought the fort. You went, This is Rescue Ghana.
I mean, perhaps lessons should be learned from how Akufo-Addo ran his government. You know, because you mentioned that Akufo-Addo is somebody who rewards loyalty.
Yes,
and sometimes the loyalty goes above the competence.
Yes.
So because you are loyal to me, I'm just going to keep you there. He said he doesn't believe in reshuffle, right? We heard him say that, right? And one of the biggest knocks, and you see, and that is one of the issues of the hypocrisy with the Akufo-Addo administration when they came into office, because you were given a knock on John Mahama for running a family and friends government while he had only Joyce Bawumia Mokhtari as a direct relation in government, and you came into office and numerous members of your family were appointed into government and all of that, and this is the end result, right? So moving forward, Mr. Jantua, the kind of appointments that are going to be made, and also the kind of posturing that the NDC folk who have worked hard and on the ground, should have moving forward into this new administration. What should it be like? The posturing in terms of who is appointed where?
He needs people who can do the job. That's the first thing you should look
Because
at.
we know that party people always say, I've suffered for the party. You started in opposition for 8 years and all of that. So should they be cutting
this time
him some slack?
No. This time is not like that. This time shouldn't be like that. Because of the enormity of the economy and where the economy is.
The limited time.
Yes, the limited time. It shouldn't be, nobody should go in there to say that, oh, we fought for the party, we brought the party back. Forget that.
I know people can begin to get disgruntled. 2 years, 3 years, and then all we did for the party, and when we came into office, we didn't even get any appointments.
Lantam.
We didn't even get any appointments because appointments are seen as a reward.
Lantam. At this particular point, bring Ghana first, not party.
Yeah.
Bring Ghana to build a nation first. Look out for because you've done your job bringing the NDC back with a huge majority. That job has been done. And you say, don't look for rewards. Don't look for rewards. Your reward is getting Ghana back to where it should be. That is your reward.
I mean, winning the election is the reward.
Well, it's a reward.
Yeah, winning the election in itself is a reward.
Contribute. If you find somebody within Ghana who can help you get to where we want Ghana to be, it's fine. It is the Ghana agenda now, not a party agenda. Unfortunately, President Akufo-Addo did his the other way around. Party came before country. Now, country should come before party. When you look at the destruction of Galamsey, the destruction of Galamsey on our water bodies, destruction of Galamsey on our lands, it is something that we cannot joke with. And anybody who can come in and do what he's supposed to do to get this country back to where it's supposed to be, President Mahama should look at it. Look at the ravages of Galamsey. Let me read it to you. Over 19,000 hectares of cocoa farms have been destroyed by illegal gold mining called Galamsey, equivalent to about 35,849 football fields. 13 major rivers, Tano, Ankobra, Brim, Pra, Densu, Black Volta, destroyed by Galamsey, are undrinkable with little aquatic life. 8 out of 10 chronic kidney diseases are from Galamsey communities. 50% of treated water lost due to 600% rise in morbidity. Ghana may need to import water by 2030. Birth deformities reported in Galamsey communities. 3.5% of agricultural land, 4,760 hectares, i.e. size of Greater Accra, destroyed by Galamsey. This is coming from Cocoa Board, Ministry of Health, USAID, FAO. Now, this is something that needs to be cured. And you cannot say that because you've come in and you've helped, if you don't have the capacity to be a Minister of Land and Natural Resources, we should give the post to you. If we find people who can do this job and they are not in the NDC, but they have proven that they can do the job, give the what do you call to them, and make sure that they deliver.
So Mahama said he's working with 60 ministers. He's made that promise. He's made that pledge. He's not going to run a government with ministerial appointments of more than 60. We're talking about ministers and deputy ministers, right? Will that be limiting?
That was a position that was forced.
Will it be limiting?
No, it could be limiting. Do you know the type of the expanse of work that needs to be done that 60 ministers can do? If the work is plenty, will 60 ministers do? Not unless you say you are collapsing some of the ministries to make them smaller, or to have just a set. So for instance, I believe that the Minister of Industry and Trade should be halved. It should be the Minister of Industry, full stop. Because trade should be put under something else, not a ministry on its own. Okay. Because it makes it easy to do trade than to do industry. Check. Because that is where procurement comes in.
So there shouldn't be a Ministry of Trade. There can be a Ministry of Industry, and then trade can come under some agency or something that is headed.
Like that. Yes. And then Ministry of Finance they should take it back. Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. Should try and do that. NDPC should stand on its own as an independent body, like the Electoral Commissioner. Independent.
And all of these Minister of State at the presidency, Minister of State at the presidency.
Should stop.
All of that.
That is job for the boys.
Plenty presidential staffers.
Job for the boys. That's the first thing I think President Mahama should do. There's no job for the boys. We are not interested in job for the boys. We need to rescue the country from where it is. We will get competent people to work, and that work should be seen by the people of Ghana that is happening. If people begin to see, in 2 years' time, people begin to see that things are turning round, it gives confidence. And then you can now put certain policies in place that are strong, that can lead into the next generation. It's very important.
So you said that the job is big. The job it's a big task.
It's colossal.
Would you forgive Mahama for varying the promise that he made of running with 60 ministers and perhaps explaining to Ghanaians that, okay, the task at hand is, is arduous, is big. And so I may have to appoint more than 60 ministers.
You see, what I don't
would you forgive him for that? Because he's run on that.
What I don't want to happen, I don't want you to say 60 ministers and then underneath there's a whole group of people.
Special aid,
special this. I would rather you come straight and tell me, guys, I said 60 ministers. However, this area needs this area needs this kind of work is area needs this. So maybe we would have to vary it. Communicate with the people. That is what our governments haven't been good at doing. Communicate with the people. Make the people part and parcel of governance. Period. Let them understand.
I mean, you can address the nation and talk to the people. Even tell them that this is why I'm doing this.
You can do that.
Explain the situation to them.
Can do that. Explain the situation to them and do it as you go. Okay, now you come in. You will see the whole gamut of things that need to be done. Start explaining it to the people for them to understand so that they are in sync with you. As they are moving with you.
So on that score, in terms of relationship with the citizenry and carrying the entire nation along, President Akufo-Addo started with be citizens and not spectators. And, really after that, he did a media encounter, with the press, and after that, that was it. The only time we really we're only hearing from President Akufo-Addo is when he goes for a function and he delivers a speech, and when he was doing the COVID-19 updates. What approach in terms of carrying the citizenry along, making the citizens know every step of the way? This is where the country is. These are the facts. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it periodically, so that people, how should the president's elect go about that when he assumes office?
He said he's going to have an economic dialogue.
Yes.
And I believe that at this point, he should work with the press. That would be a mouthpiece for the people. And he should listen when the people now respond through the press. He should listen. Look, Akufo-Addo had a whole office for the media. They watched every media station each morning and what they were saying, and they wrote reports to him to show what people were saying. If President Mahama...
So what happened? If that was the case, what happened?
Nobody knows what happened. President Mahama should make sure that he listens and he communicates. He listens and he communicates. Whatever the challenge is in this initial stage, the things that he discovers, he should let the people know. The finances of this country, he should let the people know. Because you don't want a situation where they are pointing a finger at, he's being pointed at. He should be open with the people. Once he's open with the people, and the people know and the people can walk step in step with him, it would help solve certain issues. Because definitely, we will get to a point where those 60 ministers might not be now. Not unless he's going to cut some off.
But we're all giving Akufo-Addo a lot of flack for appointing 120 ministers, which I personally thought was very unnecessary.
Yes, it was.
Right, it was very unnecessary. Later on, he cut the number of ministries down, to about 86 or so. And then, I juxtapose it to President Mahama's time. The situation that arises may justify or otherwise, the new ministry that you are putting up. So I remember, for example, President Kufuor, Ministry for Modernization of the Capital City. I remember very well. I think it was headed by Jacob Bilamte or so. I really didn't see the use, of a ministry, like that, But I remember that when we were at the height of the Dumsor crisis, President John Mahama separated the energy ministry, created a ministry for power, and put Kwabena Donkor there for a specific purpose to solve Dumsor. I think that made sense. So should that be the approach?
The approach should be such that procurement doesn't take center stage. That should be the approach. And when we realize that a whole ministry has too much on its plate, and we can divide it with good explanation why we're dividing it. Yes, why not? The power sector is huge. The oil sector is huge. There are two huge sectors. The challenges with the power sector are huge. The challenges with the oil sector are huge. So, for me, if you divide it and have separate heads for it, it's easier to handle. Minister of Trade and Industry, you don't need a minister for industry who looks at trade, because industry is key, added value.
Is that why there are deputy ministers? Because I remember during John Mahama's time, at the education ministry, for example, there were two deputies. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa was a deputy, I think, in charge of tertiary education. Then there was a deputy in charge of secondary education. Then there is the Arrowhead, who was Professor Nana Jane, who was the Minister for Education. So the two deputies had specific sectors under the education sector that they were looking at.
Lantam,
what about that?
Lantam, we should look at the areas and see what is required of the different areas. But strong explanation should be given why a certain thing is being done. And that strong explanation should be given with examples and make sure that people understand why. And it is not job for the boys. I don't understand why you need a minister for treasury and a minister for what? Because this is secondary schools.
Secondary education.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, because the challenges of tertiary education. Tertiary education. So, the universities, technical universities, all of those institutions,
you can't work with.
And then there is a secondary schools.
The university lecturers and all those, you can't work with them. The ministry can work with them.
So you would suggest that, for example, the Ministry of Education maybe should have one deputy, and then allow the Ghana Education Service to effectively administer everything else about education,
that management
without having to have deputies.
Yes, we can do that.
Efficiency.
And we should also get chief directors to do more. Chief directors should do more.
So that we can have a minister.
And do that. Because it's all based on finance. And you see, President Mahama should also be able to tell Ghanaians, every ministry, what their budget is and what they require. Should be able to do it. Open up for people to see that you are part and parcel of them. You are a servant to them. You are a leader, but yours is service. Let the people feel the service. Because the people don't feel the service, immediately they'll hit back at what is happening in the MPP today. They are doing things behind our back. They are it might not be so, but that perception alone being there can damage you.
That's true.
So the openness is key.
It's key. A transparent government, right?
Key.
You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television, still listening to Star 103.5 FM. There has been a substitution. A substitution has occurred on the set. We're supposed to close at 12, but the substitute is telling me that we shouldn't. I said close at 10. The substitute is telling me that we shouldn't close at 10. The substitute doesn't know that I have to go and learn for my exams, which I'm starting tomorrow. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is here in the studio. He's the head of our political desk. He's the head of, you don't have to go and write exams. You don't have starting exams tomorrow.
Yeah, it's GH Today election special, as you can see. Mr. Jantua, what I want to find out from you is a simple one. What kind of power sector is the incoming administration inheriting?
A power sector with debt. Power sector with debt. The debt is too humongous. It doesn't mean it's not that we don't have the generators to power, but there's debt. Apart from that, the feedstock, in terms of gas, we have stranded gas. We haven't done exploration back to where it is. The politics in Tor back to where it is. The politics in Tor is killing Tor. He should be able to sort it out. Because if we are able to do Tor, Sentio is capital flight. Sentio is capital flight. It's Chinese. They come in, they brought money in. Whatever money they get in CDs needs to go back to China. At least Tor is ours. At least we have our own oil. He should look at putting a certain percentage of our oil, giving it to Tor to refine. Because, there's an added value there. What's the added value? You get landlocked countries coming in to to pick refined petroleum products if TOR is working.